This is Infernal from Disaster, and you are in the Tampa Morgue.
What's up? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue, Season 3, Episode 103. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host from his studio deep in Tampa Bay, Florida, Mr. Ed Webb. What is up, Webb?
Mr. Anderson, what's going on, brother?
You heard me say Season 3. It was actually Season 3 a couple weeks ago, but I wasn't watching the calendar the right way, so we're going to start Season 3 tonight. We opened up the show tonight with Metalized Blood from Disaster from the Hellfire's Dominion record that came out on Merciless Records in 1998. And we're going to be joined by Infernal tonight in probably about 20 minutes. And, you know, Ed, I figured we could start the show off with an email we got, actually. Something a little different.
Okay.
Okay, they just sent this in last night, actually, so I figured I'd get it on the show since we haven't really done we've done no solo shows where we'd like read emails and stuff like that because we've been, for the last, I think,
Slammed.
4 or 5 months, it's been constant guests on. So this comes from a Roger from Texas. Says, "Hey dudes, listen every week. I've been digging through old episodes. I have to say thank you for the fucking gems." Which is that's awesome. I learned so much every episode and have even found bands that I've never heard of before. Keep the flag flying. And I do have a question. What is the most violent show that you guys have ever attended? And that's Roger from Texas. He also says, "P.S. I still hope for a YouTube show." So there you go. So Ed, most violent shows attended.
Huh. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first. I have to think a little bit.
I mean, I got two that I can think of. One is kind of it wasn't really their show, but it was their set when I was standing there. But it was Ozfest when it played in St. Pete. I think it was St. Pete. Like Black Sabbath, Mudvayne. It was a crazy show. But Slipknot, when they came on, I was just standing there. Actually, I was talking to my ex-girlfriend and her boyfriend, and it was me and Dave Sawyer. And the intro kicked on, and the floor was empty. And I turned around, and it looked like a stampede of elephants coming. Like people were just rushing the floor. And as soon as they broke in, dude, I'm body slamming people. Dude, it broke into this. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. The pit just exploded, and I'm throwing people around like Roadhouse. It was, I mean, I've never experienced anything like that. I mean, I actually got into 2 fist fights just standing in the middle of the floor, just with, I mean, I've never experienced anything like it where it opened up and me, some giant Hawaiian young dude, were squared up, dude, and I wound up front kicking him in the face. I mean, I've never experienced anything like that, but that to me is not, that was a different type of violence. That was just straight up mayhem. But as far as overall violent show pit, Slayer, there were 6 pits at this one show going on at one time, and it was absolutely one of the most craziest things. But you know, Slayer, they're just known for that. And that was just, I mean, I would move out of one area and I walk right into another one. It was like nonstop. It was like almost walking into like 10 hurricanes going on at once. So yeah, it was crazy. And I'm, walking out and you see a dude with his eye with a 3-inch gash, just pissing blood. I mean, Slayer was violent. Like if you went to Slayer shows, like the old Slayer shows, they were violent. So those were my two that I remember. I won't forget.
Well, I will have to agree with you that most, especially back in the day, the Slayer shows were definitely it always felt like being around or in a Slayer pit was just a painful experience. Some of the most violent shows I've ever been to, definitely shows I was going to over at City Gardens over in New Jersey. Even the hard way you go see like Sick of It All and stuff. I remember seeing Sick of It All and Sheer Terror. I've talked about that show on this podcast before. It's fucking crazy. But I'm gonna actually go with, now that I think about this a little bit, I put on a show at Club Venom in St. Petersburg, Florida, which was the Murder Junkies. Played with the Scurvy, and a band called the Dead Whores, which put it like this. I was working the door that night, had booked the show, the Murder Junkies. We put them, actually, that was part of the deal. So this was when they had Jeff Clayton from Anti-Scene singing for them. And part of the deal with Merle Allen is that we put them at strip bar during the day, which we did because actually one of my old bosses, Harley, his name was, worked at a place called, I think it was called Showgirls over on Ulmerton and Starkey. You may remember this, Ed, this
Yep,
place.
I remember that.
So yeah, so we put them there for the day, and we paid them like I don't know if I should say, I guess it doesn't matter. We paid the Murder Junkies $500 to play the show. This is like 2003 time period. And so we booked the show, we book and the Scurvy too, which I mean anybody who knows Brandon in the Tampa Bay area, yeah, he's on tour with them right now actually with the Murder Junkies. The night the show happens, I'm working the door that night and there's just shitloads of people showing up. The problem is that they're kind of like gangs that are showing up. I mean, there's like 20 of this kid coming in, 20 of these guys, and you start feeling a little uneasy. The band The Dead Whores is playing, and people are like hitting them while they're playing because there's some beef between the bands or some of the crowd, so to say. By the end of the night, as you know, Ed, you remember this event. There was like maybe like I want to say like 10 people stabbed. There was blood everywhere. There was cops pulling kids out, throwing them against cars. While everyone's getting arrested, because we had 2 rooms in the venue. There was the back room, which was the murder room, and then which we had a nickname of that because the previous owner had been murdered in that area before we ever had anything to do with it at Club Venom. Then the front room had remember Ed had the strip
Yep.
bar, strip
The
pole in
pole
front of it. It
in
used to
the
be
middle of the stage.
a packaged liquor store. We saw Deicide. We had Deicide play there on that
I played
stage.
that
I
show.
don't know if did you play
I
on that
played that
stage,
show.
Ed?
I played that show.
Yeah, you played the Deicide show. Were you guys on that
I
stage
did.
or were you in the back room?
Yeah. No, we were on the main stage. We've been
Main
on the main
stage.
stage except for the Malevolent show. I think that was the only time we played the back.
Yeah, I
Was
think
that
everyone played the
Malevolent show.
back that night actually in the back room. But this was like what 2003 and yeah, just a major riot. There's actually some video of the show online at Club Venom, which there's not much video of that venue on there. I mean, there is some, but police came, arrested a bunch of people. There was gang fights. It was insane. I just remember the cops like yelling at Dino, the drummer who was playing on the stage naked, to stop playing as they were arresting people on top of the stage because the show was pretty much over. But that would have to be the most insane show that I've been to because it was just I remember like when it emptied out, there was just fucking blood everywhere.
That's
Yeah,
fucking chaos.
so that would
There you
be
go.
my answer. And I've been to a bunch of violent shows too. It's just, but that's one that comes to my mind. So thank you, Roger from Texas, for sending that in. And Ed, so I don't know how you want to do this tonight. So we have, should we run the Dave Allison promo and then do the musicians who passed away? We'll do the releases. We'll do some upcoming
We can.
shows, which we don't have much of that really. And then we'll get Infernal on from Disaster. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that. Come back with shows and then get the man on.
Yeah, so this is a promo for the Tampa Bay Museum of Metal that'll be taking place in February. And here's Dave Allison. We'll be back after his promo.
What's up, Tampa Morgue listeners? This is Death Metal Dave from the Tampa Bay Museum of Metal. And I'd like to ask you to join us on February the 7th at Magnanimous Brewery, Seminole Heights, where we're going to have a killer display of Florida metal history. Backdrops, guitars, drums, clothing, you name it, we're going to have it. And it's pretty freaking cool, man. Come out and support the metal and drink our Tampa Bay Museum of Metal beer. And always listen to Tampa Morgue with Tony and Ed. It's just Death Metal Dave. In your face.
And that was Dave Allison, a.k.a. Death Metal Dave, talking about the Tampa Bay Museum of Metal. For more information, go to www.tampabaymuseumofmetal.com. Go there. They'll find out a lot about the Florida metal scene and the history of it. Starts back at like 82 and goes to the present. And I do want to do a little promo for the Tampa Morgue. So I do apologize to our regular listeners who have to hear this every week, but it's what we have to do. Anybody who doesn't know, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere you listen to podcasts. We also throw the audio up on YouTube. We don't do any video, so YouTube's not a big thing for us. But on the Tampa Morgue, you can find old interviews that we've done. This will be episode 103. So we've done interviews with everybody from Jeff Manis from Venom. That's like a 5-hour interview. King Fally from Deceased, October 31. That's another one that ranges up there like the 4 to 5 hour. But great interviews, though. Dawn of the Dead from Nunslaughter, Jarno from Urn out of Finland, and also Graves now. You got Chris Reifert from Autopsy, Eat My Fuck, Violation Wound, The Abscess. Terry Butler we had on a couple weeks ago from Obituary, obviously Death, Inhuman Condition, Massacre. And the thing with that Terry episode, again, tons of Florida metal history, very detailed interview. We go through his career, starting from the beginning. Pat from Hell Witch we had on the show. He was one of our first guests, actually. Necro Butcher from Arc Goat, another killer episode, in my opinion. Lord Sabathon from Enthroned, Slaughter Messiah, Morbid Death. Speaking of Slaughter Messiah, we also had John Berry on about 3 months ago. He also plays with Slaughter Messiah and Ancient Rites and Nocturnal. Harry Quokinen from Hooded Menace, Hail Conjurer. We had Morgul on here from Finland. We had the actor David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown in all the Terrifier movies. He was on here, another in-depth interview that we did. Gene from Angel Corpse and Perdition Temple, he was on here. Guys from Morbid Saint. We had Clove and Hoof interviews on the show. Paul Speckman from Master. You could go back and find a shitload of episodes. So yeah, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can always email us also at thetampamorgue@gmail.com. We will respond. And the best place probably to keep up to date with us is Instagram. We do have a Facebook page that we do try to put everything up on, but I think Instagram is the most updated and most current social media place to find us. And yeah, so we do appreciate all of our listeners. So I had to run through that spiel, but so now I'm going to mention the musicians who passed away. Then we'll do the releases, and then upcoming shows, and then we'll get Infernal on here from Disaster out of Germany. And everybody, if we pronounce a name wrong, no disrespect, just how it happens. Sergio Faris, a guitar player from Chile, played with Turbo and Feedback out of Santiago. Carlos Arboleda, a Colombian guitar player, played with Cerebral Hemorrhage, Hypoxia, and Non-Eternal. He passed away. Raymond Renteria Jr., a vocalist from Texas, played with a band called Crawler. Larry Gilstrom from Kick-Axe, 70 years old, Canadian guitar player. Spence Shepard, an American guitar player. He was in the bands Forced Expression and Vitam Aeternam. Harry Hill, the UK drummer for Fist and Axe. Filippo Restelli, Italian vocalist for Casa Nostra. And then Klaus Werzinas, a Finnish bassist. It was 37 years old. Anthro, Peacemaker he played with. Transworld Identity. I think he drowned. He also played with Joe Lynn Turner and Graham Bonnet. Henry Gallardo, 38 years old, a Chilean bassist and vocalist from Sicko Motor and Sangre de Brugio. And then Furman Amanduan, a guitarist from Indonesia who played in the band called Restless. So those are the musicians who passed away, unfortunately, the last 2 weeks. We always try to pay some respect and mention them on the show. And I'm going to get to releases, and then we'll get to the upcoming shows, Ed, and we'll go from there. And then we'll get our guest on. So I on releases, I only have a few. I didn't pull too many that were sent to me because we're going to be recording in a couple of days again for next week's episode, and a lot of them bleed over to that. Like the Disaster album's coming out on August 22nd, but we're going to talk all about that with Infernal tonight. So, Kill All Idols on Metal Blade. We'll go over that with him in a little bit. Sadistic Force in Austin, Texas, black thrash metal band. Sadistic Force Morbid Odyssey EP is this one on Pure Abandon Records, coming out on vinyl and cassette. Sadistic Force formed in 2020. First release was an EP in 2021 titled Pain, Sex, and Rapture. This will be the band's third full length. They also have released 2 full lengths and a split with Hellrot from Mexico. Morbid Odyssey is out August 22nd. Vindicator, Whispers of Death from Speed Metal Records. They're from Ohio, a thrash metal band. Vindicator formed in 2005. First release was the 2005 rehearsal demo. This will be a follow-up to the 2021 album, Communal Decay. Whispers of Death is out on August 22nd. Grave Hex out of Finland, a death metal band. Vermian Death is the name of this one. Night Terror Records is going to come out on. It's also coming out on Cavernous Records. So Night Terror Records will be doing the cassette, I guess, and Cavernous will be doing the CD. Grave Hex formed in 2024. This will be the band's debut record. This will have 7 tracks, and it'll be available August 22nd. Unholy Altar out of Philly, black metal band. A Soul in Dark Sky, Liminal Dread Productions out of Philly. Unholy Altar formed in 2021. They put out a demo in 2022, a 6-way split in 2024, and a full length in 2024. Actually, the drummer, Nat, aka Lucifer's Rage, we know her, Ed. We used to play with her when she was with Cunt Knuckles out of Miami. She's done art for me for flyers for Generic Christ and stuff for some gigs that we did. So yeah, Unholy Altar, A Soul in Dark Sky comes out on August 22nd. Inherent Doom, a black metal band from Iran. Sermon of Ruin is the name of this one. It's an independent release. The band formed in 2021, put out 2 singles in 2023, an EP in 2024 titled Imprisoned by the Hands of Time. Sermon of Ruin has 9 tracks and will be available August 26th. And then Hybris out of Germany, death metal grindcore project. Viva Exploitation, Great Dane Records out of France. First release was a demo in 2022. This release has 4 tracks and it'll be available August 26th. And that's all I have for releases. Like I said, we have next week, we're going to bleed over more that we got sent to us. It'll work out date wise. So yeah, Ed, I say it's time. Let's talk about the upcoming gigs. And before we get to that, Ed, the upcoming shows, anybody who's interested in co-hosting on the show, you might want to send us an email because I know Ed's falling apart on us. I mean, he's completely fucking falling apart. He's got a chiropractor today, Ed?
Chiropractor, yeah. I started seeing one a couple weeks ago, man. Actually, I saw my main doctor, who I see twice a year, yesterday, and he's concerned. My blood pressure's up. It's probably because I fucking do this show with you. It's, I told him that. But yeah, I've been having an issue with my back and my knee, to be honest with you. But I go real hard at the gym, as you know. I mean, I go 5 to 6 days a week. I probably go too hard for being my age. I don't lift super heavy, but I have a 22-year-old knucklehead for a son who likes to, think he's going to kick my ass, and it's never going to happen. So he pushes me a lot, and yeah, my back's been hurting, and I went to 2. I remember I told you the stories. I went to these 2 chiropractors. I went to one that was actually when my kids went to school. The lady would have the parents bring their athletes to her place and do free adjustments for them. Well, I was like, well, that's pretty cool because nobody likes to give free services, So Bryce was like, you should go over there and check her out. So I did. And of course, they sucked me in with let's do an x-ray. Oh, look at your back. Your neck's got whiplash. And I'm like, yeah, I've been whipping my head around for 30 years. What do you expect? You know what I mean? That's known, obviously. But she's like, we got to get you back. You're blah, 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 you're back. So they sign you up for the package. And like an idiot, I'm thinking that she's real deal. I'm like, all right, cool, man, let's do it. And I'm paying all this money every month. And bro, she fucked me up. Like, I noticed that everybody that went in to see her was getting the same exact adjustments. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not how it works. It's supposed to be for you. Like, your body's different than the lady that's 200 pounds next to me in the other booth. But I noticed she's getting the same fucking adjustments that I'm getting. And I'm like, so when I asked about it, she's like, oh no, it's tailored to you. Then one day she fucking tweaked my back. And when I told her, she's like, no, I didn't do anything. And she fucking got all pissed off and stuff. And I'm like, well, if my back's fucked up and you're the one who touched me, how do you think that works? You know what I mean? So after that, I was skeptical. And then I went to another dude before my hip, and he kept swearing it was my back, which was my hip. I had to have my hip replaced, as we know. It's almost been a year, by the way. Next week will be a year. Isn't it?
You're just falling a fucking apart, man.
But yeah, so now I got like a pinched nerve thing going on, and I did some serious research, man. I picked 2 places, and I picked this one, and I don't know, something drew me to it, and I'm glad because the guy, first of all, he's a younger guy, but he listened. I told him what the problem was, and he didn't try to do something aggressive. He listened, and he said, all right, let's try this first. If not, we'll move to this and this. And I've gone a couple times, and he's awesome, man. His name's Dr. Mike. It's at Long Chiropractor and Rehab here in Tampa. And I'll tell you what, man, he's got a wall full of athletes that he's been taking care of. And I'm like, well, if those people are coming here, it's got to be pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But I told him about the bands we're in and all that stuff, and he went and started checking out the bands. He's all freaking out about how the hell do I sing like that? And some people don't know what death metal really is until you listen to it. But and then he picked up on the show. he found out we were doing a podcast and they were listening to it on the way home one day. And he's like,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
didn't tell me.
Sorry to hear that.
He's like, yeah, I listened to the podcast. I go, dude, I hope you didn't listen to it here because we're dirty. We got some bad mouths. I don't think people need to hear some of the shit we say on here. But no, he was really cool. So yeah, man, if you're in Tampa, long chiropractic and rehab, man, it's I'm blown away by. Hopefully, he puts the Tin Man back together again because I need some oil. I'm fucking falling apart.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to start looking for some help around here. I've been I know
Yeah,
Chicago Joe's
yeah.
sniffing around, man,
long-
sniffing around your
long as-
coffin.
As long as I can be propped up in a chair, dude, I'm talking, hey, you hear, there's no more congestion. At least that's,
Yeah,
I dealt with that.
definitely.
I dealt with
Yeah.
that, man. So, we're putting the machine back together. I got to, man, because I'm assuming we're going to go on the road at some point here. And I don't want to be
Man,
fucking,
new
I don't want to be
monstrosity,
Kirk.
man.
I don't want to be Kirk sitting in a chair on stage, man, because that's what he has. A couple of discs blew out or something, man. And
I saw that.
I can't imagine sitting there trying to play guitar and sing. I know it's got to be
Unless
hard
you're at
for
some
Jeff.
bar in Key West or something like that doing it, I mean.
Yeah, or you're Jeff Healy and you're blind and
Yeah.
you have no reason but to sit there and play guitar. But yeah, it's crazy, man. We're not getting any younger.
No, especially you. So
Wow.
coming up.
Says the guy who gets sick for 2 weeks and can't
Yeah,
get rid of it,
I have
right?
kids, man. They're always bringing home plagues. It's almost winter here. I'm ready for the parade of germs to come through the house. That's
Well,
what happens when
my wife works at a school, so she's got those kids coming up to the office sick all the time because she works in the office. So we'll see how when I start
that's one
to see.
nice thing here is my wife is a doctor, so we don't have to take the kids to the doctor when they're sick. We just kind of, she takes care of it at
Self-remedy.
home.
Yeah, it's
Huge
good.
bonus.
Yeah, man.
Huge
That's the
bonus,
worst.
but
Waiting at a fucking doctor's office with 30 kids screaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until you have to do that, don't talk to me. I live
Ugh,
that.
fuck that. So and I do have to mention next week. I'll mention some upcoming guests 'cause we do have a few for the next. Actually, man, I have to say, we are kind of booked up for the next 6 weeks almost. But I'll just mention a few. We have Sergeant Salston from Death Hammer, Torpedo, and Impunger coming on next week from Norway. Death Hammer, great band. Eric from Goat Seaman and Evil Dam is going to come on. We're trying to figure that out actually this week. And Daniel Avenger from Nocturnal, Angel of Damnation, X B-Style Desecration. He also has a project, Ancient Lore, that he put out a 3-song demo in 2024. A bunch of other projects too, man. I know that Daniel's involved in a lot of bands, so he'll be on in a couple weeks. So we'll have that date up there in the next couple days on the Instagram page. So those are some guests that we have coming on. We got some more stuff in the works too. Like I said, we probably have, I don't know, Ed, about 6 or 7 episodes pretty much planned out already. And so excited about that. Don't have many shows, like I said, to mention. I will, obviously September is pretty much the big time for shows. So Ed, I'll let you mention the shows first this time, actually, because I have a couple from September that I'm not really going to go too much detail about, but I will mention them. So I'll let you go first so I can make sure I don't repeat what you're saying.
All right. Yeah. So we've mentioned this one already, but it's getting closer. So we'll just keep mentioning it. The Dark Angel show with Sacred Reich, Violence. And from what I saw, they've added Midnight Interceptor, but I believe in Tampa, the bands that are going to be here are Hyrax and Void. That was the flyer I've been seeing. So maybe they added them. I don't know if it's, one of those where two bands drop off, two bands drop, how they do that halfway through a tour. Sometimes bands have other obligations. I don't know, but that is September 16th at the Orpheum and the 17th if you're in Fort Lauderdale at Club The Revolution. And the other show is Billy Milano doing his United Forces, his SOD. I guess he cannot use that name anymore. So he's doing that with Ryan Taylor is on guitar. That was in, how many bands was he in? He did The Malevolent Creation, Solstice. And then
Gibbs too, obviously.
Josh
from
Gibbs is in there. I'm not sure who's drumming, but it's crazy to see that they're celebrating 40 years of SOD to think that I bought that record pretty much when it came out just tells me everything I need to know about my life. 40 years of SOD, but that's Friday, September 12th at the Brass Mug in Tampa. And, I don't go to many shows, but I've always been an SOD fan. I like Billy Milano. Some people think he's a little outrageous. I like him. Um, to me, he's just, I mean, if you were a fan of the old school hardcore, SOD, MOD, I mean, he put out some cool shit. I mean, he was just a funny, like, I always took MOD and SOD as kind of like a, I don't want to use the word joke, but funny. Like it wasn't serious. It wasn't like,
Definitely sarcastic.
yes,
Tongue in
sarcastic,
cheek,
great
I
word.
guess you'd say, right?
Yes, but especially MOD, because we did a what was the song 15 seconds?
Oh, we did Ruptured
We did the-
Nuptials with Flesh Reaper, yeah, which was about,
Yeah,
16
it's
seconds,
funny.
I think, not
Yeah,
even.
that's what I said. So, it shows
Played
you
3 times.
it was literally just a tongue in cheek kind of thing. But yeah, that'll be cool to see Billy Milano, because I saw a cool interview with him where he was throwing down on everybody, and they took it down, but I guess it got put back up. But he was that guy took no.
I watched that interview. Yeah, it
he
was,
was fucking going mayhem. But
definitely
that's
took the
the
gloves
thing.
off.
Well, and that's the New York in him, because I mean the story he told about the 5 guys or the 4 guys in the back that were all freaked out,
Yeah.
sitting in that punk hardcore club that, and everybody, the skinheads wanted to kill him, and it wound up being Metallica and Anthrax,
Yeah.
and he made sure they didn't get the shit kicked out of him. So, those are cool stories because, it kind of, we lived back then. So we would understand. If you've ever been to a skinhead show, especially, I never went to one in New York, but I've been to them in Tampa, like at the at Janus Landing, and even a couple of smaller clubs in Tampa. I mean, it's scary because they're violent. They were violent back then.
Oh,
And
I remember, yeah, you go to up to, like I always mention City Gardens and places like that, you go up there to they would mix the show. Sometimes you'd have, like, the metalheads and the skinheads or the punks there, and it was not always a friendly environment.
yeah, well, one of my first experiences was, we talked about it when I saw DRI on the Four of a Kind tour, and they had Creator playing with them. So obviously you get the mix of the metal, and I remember looking up, and here's a dude stage diving a skinhead with combat boots, kicked me right in the face. Now, mind you, he kicked the other 3 people that were around me, and they drug him to the ground and stomped the shit out of him. And that was my first, because I was 16. So that was my first understanding of, oh shit, this is crazy. But yeah, I mean, that would be a cool show. I think it'll definitely bring back some memories for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna mention, let me see here. I guess I have a few. I'm not really gonna go too much detail about them because most of them are, like, in a couple weeks, and we'll talk about those more next week, but I will mention them. But I will mention, Tampa Bay Death Fest, which is Friday, September 5th and Saturday, September 6th. Some of the bands that are playing is Deceptor, Fupa Goddess, Precipice, Pontifax, MRSA, Repulsive Vision, A Burning Rose, Grave Huffer, Diabolic, of course, Dead Center, Fathom, Burnt at the Stake, Corrupted Saint, Eternal Culling. I don't know what that's. And let me see here. And that is going to be, I want to say it's $25 each day of the show. I don't know if they have, let me see here. I could tell you in a second. I believe that information is correct. So the doors are at 3:30. Show is at 4:30. Like I said, $25 day of the show at the door, $20 in advance. And yeah, that's Tampa Bay Death Fest. And we'll talk more about that next week. But yeah, so that's going on. And Ed, I have that, and I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna mention a few other things. September 4th, Bruce Dickinson's playing at the Revolution in Fort Lauderdale. Saturday the 10th, Dream Theater's playing at the Baycare Sound Amphitheater. September 12th at the Hard Rock Live in Orlando. Crypta is playing a Saturday, September the 13th at the Orpheum in Tampa. And then are playing Sunday the 14th at the Conduit in Orlando. You mentioned the Dark Angel already. Narcotic Wasteland is playing Wednesday 17th at the Conduit. And then 6 Feet Under with Exorder, Wretched, and Incite. That's Thursday the 25th at the Conduit in Orlando, Friday the 26th at the Orpheum in Tampa, and then Saturday the 27th at Club LA in Destin, Florida. That's what I have for shows. And Ed, what do you say we get to the guest? We got Infernal on here from Disaster.
Let's do it. Should be a good one.
Yeah, we're going to be joined by Infernal of Germany's Disaster. They've been around for since 88, 37 years. He's also the guitarist of Germany's heavy metal band Moontower. He's also released music under the name Infernal Fire and is also playing bass in the German black metal band Doom Cult Commando. I interviewed Disaster for the first time in 2002 when they released their fourth full length that was titled Divine Blasphemies. That came out on Iron Pegasus Records. We're going to get Infernal on here, and first we're going to play Desaster-Angelwhore from the Angelwhore record from Metal Blade Records.
Be grown and lost, elemental memory of your majesty. Finalistic communal thought of guilt. Prepare to win, you come in time to wait. Radical passion, the token to infinity. The total rage is laid out to the conflict of the life. Blood running down, religion generation. Screaming on the tunnel, reflection of the dirty. Speak about the act. Speculate the waking up, the opposite and energy. Keep on the purest of the Get the order from a Alex spine. Give the king, raise the war. Is that for demons bringing out its dust? As to say, I will fight down. Follow sex to brain. You can stay the same. The only way to alley. You go inside. The fucking back. You own a cosmic destination. There's a corrupted mind. Eternal Lord of Punch and Violence. Save of liquid rain. And then as a man. Leave for the opportunity. With vengeance not subjected. To it of freedom. Forever with you. Get the order from Alex spine. Give the king, raise the war. This is not even me again, it's done. We want to play Devil's Blade. Look your back and be sure you will come again and again. Yeah! Why am I talking like this night? Ooh, till this fire's by will bleed. Time to be with the things I have lost. Let your love.
We're joined by the guitar player, Infernal, tonight. How you doing, man?
Hello. Nice to meet you both. I hope you're doing fine. I just opened a beer. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Yeah, no, definitely glad to have you on. And you're not only the guitar player, but the founder of the band. And we're going to go through the band's history tonight. And we're glad you joined us, man. As I was telling you before the show, I actually interviewed Tormentor, I believe, about 22 years ago, it might have been.
Wow.
So time
Long
flies.
Time
Yeah.
flies, yes.
Yeah, time
indeed.
flies. Yeah, man. So, and before we, we're going to talk a lot about Disaster and your history and stuff, but I do know that May 17th, you played your first show with a new band that you're in now, Cult Commando.
Yes. That's another band I joined in when I was drunk. I knew the guys for a couple of time, and they are rehearsing next to us. And when we had some beers together, they were complaining that couldn't find a bassist, so I joined in after some beers, and now I play in another band. Yeah, but they are cool guys, cool music. It's raw black metal, really, really aggressive, hard stuff, and I like this kind of metal. Yeah, that's cool.
And you guys put out a 4-song demo in January.
Yes, and it will be released on vinyl, hopefully soon, and perhaps we will also release it on CD format. But you can check us already out on YouTube and Bandcamp and stuff like that. So check out the Doom Cult Commando. It's great stuff.
3-piece, right? It's you on bass, actually. You're not playing guitar on this one. And Hellspawn
Yep.
on drums, and then Doom Cult on vocals.
Yeah, that's right. Two cool guys. We have a lot of fun together. We just did our first live concert, which went very good. We got very, very good response from the audience. They liked it. And hopefully this will go on, that we can play some more shows in the future.
Yeah, we want to talk about, on this show, we always go through the people's backgrounds and then go through their history and stuff. So, obviously you're born in Germany. What city were you born in?
I was born in Koblenz in the year 1973. Koblenz is on the rivers Rhine and Mosel, where they unite. A small city, only 100,000 inhabitants. And yeah, but it's a nice region here. We have a lot of castles, and stuff like that. Some romantic shit. I like it very much.
Like, as a child, what is the first piece of music you remember actually hearing that caught your attention? Whether it was on the radio, your parents are playing it around you.
I was living in the room together with my older brother, and he was a big fan of Queen. And I think the song Bicycle was one of the first songs I really can remember that I listened to it. And yes, it was cool. I liked it very much. This kind of rock music, with the guitars. I think this already catched me in a young age.
And, I know you're also actually, around 10 or 11, you were a huge Cure fan.
Yeah, how did you know? Yeah, I had a neighbor, and he gave a tape. He gave a tape to me with a live recording, the Cure live in France or in Paris or something like that. And I was really impressed by all this sadness on this in this music, and this melancholy, and this touched me really, really much, and I loved it. I never liked that much the normal radio stuff, which was played in the radio. So the Cure was a cool band, and I think this kind of sadness and melancholy also influenced me musically.
Yeah, because and you could see that in actually not the new record, the one about the prior one to that, which we'll talk about when we get to that. You see, I think on the outro, you could definitely see a Cure influence on that. And the first time you start getting into metal, what is 86 around? When you first start becoming aware of bands like Priest and Warlock and stuff like that. Do you remember the actual first record you owned?
I think it was Anthrax Among the Living. I think so, but I can't remember exactly. Among the Living from Anthrax. Oh, it was Nasty Savage Indulgence. I can't remember. I can't remember. Uh, when I started in '86, I didn't have the money to buy records, so I got a lot of tapes recorded by my friends, and so the first bands, you're right, the first bands I listened to was Warlock. I was a big fan of Warlock. I loved Doro Pesch, of course. Everybody was in love with her. Great looking woman. Even today, she's looking fine, and yeah, Warlock was my first love.
Definitely, yeah. You guys should get into that, and then like 87, right? You're at a bus stop with your buddy, and creator Cassie, who would eventually
Yeah,
become the first bassist and vocalist for Disaster. But he started to expose you to harder music like Slayer and Bathory and like Hellhammer and stuff.
yeah, he brought me into this more extreme style. We met at the bus station every morning, and he gave me new cassettes with new tapes that I could listen to after school, And I remember when I first put on Slayer's Rain in Blood, which was new in '86. It just was released then. And I put it on my stereo, and after I think 10 seconds, I stopped the tape because it was too hard for me. But soon after, I repeated it, of course, and I soon liked it. I soon liked this aggression, this violence in this music, and so soon bands like Warlock and Priest were forgotten, and we only listened to harder stuff. Of course, we wanted to be the hardest guys in town, and we wanted to be the guys who listened to the most extreme stuff, and so we were always looking for extreme metal.
You would like you guys, what you and Creator used to go to the local record store and listen to like the latest records there and stuff. What were some of the stores you were actually visiting as a child, like that you remember that like there's always certain stores that hold a place in your memory growing up.
Yeah, there were a lot of record stores around in our hometown Koblenz. I can remember three record stores, and we were hanging around there after school, listening to new metal records. And when we had the money, we also bought some stuff, And Creator Kazi, he has some richer parents, and he could afford to buy a lot of records. I only got few pocket money, so I only could afford to buy one record in a month, But he always taped me. He recorded me all the new records he bought, and it was great. Yeah, it was a great time. I remember we always drove with our bikes, with our bicycles, to the town, to buy the newest records. I remember when the Sodom album Persecution Mania came out. We were so proud to get the first press on white vinyl. That was so cool because we didn't know that the vinyl could be other than black. So it was so great to have a white vinyl, put it on the record player. Yeah, it was a great time. Wild times.
And you're also a fan of punk bands too. You were a fan of the Exploited and like Slime from Germany. Were some of the bands you were into?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. When we started with metal in the mid '80s and late '80s, and in Koblenz and our region, there was a big punk scene with a lot of bands. There's, for example, also Toxoplasma coming from Koblenz, a great punk band. And we used to go to the studio of the singer of Toxoplasma, of this punk band. And in the past, of course, we were influenced by this scene. And it was, yeah, a great relationship to the punk guys. We were always doing partying together. We had a metal punk discos going on. And so the punks were banging with their with their great hair to metal music, and we were dancing the pogo style, with the punks to exploit it, and great bands like that. And it was a great community. It was fun. It was really cool. So of course we were also influenced by punk bands.
What were some of the venues that you remember going to as a kid?
There was a cool venue in Koblenz called Hot. And that was really hot there because they didn't have any climate, the machine which makes it cool. I can't remember the
The
name.
AC, yeah.
Yeah, I
The
see.
name
Yes.
fit.
Yeah, and so it was very hot always there, and there this metal punk disco took place, and there were some cool concerts. I remember even Blind Guardian played in this small venue. They were still unknown, and you as a kids watched this show. We did stage diving. I remember I was running across the stage, and I hit the guitar player of Blind Guardian. He was really angry about me. Yeah, it was a cool time. There was a cool venue. And later we also had our rehearsal room in this venue in the basement. And it was cool to rehearse there, and we did a lot of concerts there. We organized shows for other bands, and of course we played a lot of shows in this venue.
What was the first concert you actually attended as a fan?
The first concert was already a bigger one. The first concert was Slayer together with Overkill. Uh, it was in the beginning of, uh, I don't remember exactly. I think the tour was postponed for some reasons. I don't know what was going on, but I still have the entrance card, the ticket, and yeah, that was cool. That was really great. And I remember I couldn't hear anything on my right ear for 3 days because I was standing in front of the speakers, and it was so fucking loud. And the most impressing thing was how violent the audience was. I, of course, have expected a lot, but this was really crazy. This was really crazy. I've never expected maniacs like that. Slayer fans are really the hardest ones on earth.
Definitely. Were you into tape trading at all?
In the very beginning, we weren't that much into tape trading, but when it started with Disaster, when it really started with Disaster, when we put out the first demo tape in 1993, which was the Fog of Avalon tape, then, of course, we started to do a lot of tape trading. I remember I traded the demo with Alan from Prime Audio, for example, from Ireland. I had contact with Keith from Destroyer 666 when he was still living in Australia, when he was still in Bestial Warlust, and we exchanged always tapes and new recordings and stuff from other bands, and that was a great time. Tape trading and writing letters. Nobody can remember this. That was really cool. Nowadays, with email, you can have easily contact to everybody on the world in a second. But I don't have much contact now to all those guys. It got a little bit lost, unfortunately. But in the past, we wrote a lot of letters to each other. It was a great time.
Jeez. 87, you and creator watched the 1984 video, The Seventh Date of Hell, live at Hammersmith from Venom, and this is a big influence on you.
That was like a hammer blow. That was really impressing us. You must remember in those times, without any internet, we only knew the band's look from the back covers of the LPs, from the albums. And there were also hardly interviews with extreme bands in the bigger magazines. We haven't heard about fanzines yet. And so that was really impressing to see Venom live on stage, on the screen, of course, only. But that was really blowing us away. And to see those guys crushing the instruments, all the pyrotechnic with the fire.
At that time, when you guys looking for band names, you guys first come up with the idea of like Eternal Torment as one of the names?
That's right. That's right. Of course, we tried to find a band name which was not used before, which was really hard, of course, in the beginning. And at the end, we were influenced, of course, by Destruction's song "Total Disaster." uh, because we were really wild and young guys in the beginning. We always did a lot of shit. We produced a lot of chaos, and it was a kind of saying for us to go to the village where we lived, and we always said, "Hey, come on, let's go to village and do some total disaster." And when it came to find a suitable band name, we thought, okay, why not just Disaster? That fits to us perfectly. So the name was born for us.
The first Disaster logo you guys used was done by F. Braden, who did cover art. He did some cover art and art for you guys on some of the demos and stuff, but that was the guy who first did the first Disaster logo ever.
Yeah, yeah. It was a schoolmate from me, and in some boring classes, I think, especially in mathematics, he always painted some covers for me, and they look very cool. It was very raw style, but yeah, that was really great. We still haven't written any song, but we already had a band name, we had logo, and we had covers for our tapes, but we haven't wrote a song yet. We hadn't written a song yet. That was really funny.
You guys are young, right? You first pick up your guitar the first time you pick up guitar is what, 15 or 16?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now, of course, when we decided to found a band, then I walked to my father and said, "Dad, I need an instrument right now." At first, I wanted to play the drums, and he said, "Are you crazy? There's no place in our apartment to put the drum kit, so that's impossible." So I said, "Okay, Dad, then I need a guitar. Please buy me a guitar." And my first guitar I got, I think, for Christmas in '88, and yeah, so it all began.
So 88, 15 years old, like we said. You guys are both young at that time period, and it takes some time to find a drummer, right? But I think it's 89. Casey knows a drummer, Alexander Ars, who becomes the first member besides you two.
Yeah, that's right. That was also a classmate from Creator Kazi, and he played in a hardcore punk band, and he was a little bit older guy than we were. And Creator Kazi said, we've just founded a band. We need a drummer. You play the drums. Can't you play with us? And Alex wasn't that wasn't that he didn't want it, but we persuaded him to give us a chance to come to his rehearsal room to play some songs, and that really was great. And he said, "Yeah, that's not bad. It is chaotic and you can't play it all, but it's fun." And yeah, he agreed to play with us, and we were so crazy that we already uh, booked a venue for the first show, and we hadn't written one song, So that was really crazy. So then we had then we had, of course, to write some songs for the first show, and yeah, that was really crazy.
Where are you guys rehearsing at early on, and what is the first Disaster song written?
I think the song was called uh, "Scream for Mercy," but I can't remember it very good. Of course, in the time when we had no drummer before, we already did some nonsense in our children's rooms. We did some drums on the sofa, on the couch, and stuff like that. And there we made some nonsense songs. But the first song with drums, I think it was called "Scream for Mercy."
And there's a demo of with 2 rehearsals on it, I believe, around '89, titled "The Evil Dead Will Rise Again," and that's not official, though, you guys say, right?
Yeah. It's always listed. It was never released officially. We only recorded the songs for ourselves. They were just too bad to be released, and we only gave them to some friends. I think there were some 20 cassettes, 20 tapes around with the early songs, and they were spread within our friends only.
And then June of 1989, you guys would play your first show.
Yeah, it was in June 89. That is true. We booked the venue already, and in the meanwhile, we got some songs together to play, and our drummers. Other band, the hardcore punk band called Human Refuse. They were the headliner of this show, and we played as a co-headliner. And there was another stupid band called Mülheim Kerlich Noisecore band, which was the support band of this show. It was only a very small gig. I think there were some 50 people attending the show. But it was great, of course, for 15, 16-year-old kids to have your own gig, you have to have your own show, was fucking great. It was amazing. We really felt like rock stars.
And where did it take place at? What was the venue you guys played your first show?
It was, in fact, no real venue. It was a kind of hut in the woods you could rent in our village to make some parties, to celebrate some family parties or something like that, you know. And our idea was to rent this hut in the woods because we thought we couldn't disturb anybody there. And but the police, in fact, showed up at the sound check already. It was fucking too loud. And the police said, you are too loud. You can't play here. You don't have a permission to make live music here. And we said, oh, shit. But then I don't know why. When we started the show, the police didn't show up again. I think, I don't know, the wind changed or something like that. The noise was not going to the town anymore. So nobody complained, and the show took place, and was a great evening. As far as I can remember, it's so long ago.
Yeah, 36 years now, I think, right? If I'm doing the math right.
Yeah.
And at that time period too, you guys were getting frustrated with some of the other bands, right? Because a lot 89 we're talking, so that bleeds over into 90. You know, bands are starting to change, trying to become more the mainstream bands. People are leaving because there's not many girls at the concerts back then, right? And you guys are getting annoyed by this?
We were very annoyed. Uh, we always call that the big Metallica boom. Uh, we were, of course, big Metallica fans. Metallica influenced us a lot, and we loved the first 3 albums, of course. But then with the Justice album, they released their first video. There was a video clip with One, you remember? And
Oh yeah, with the
this was
movie Johnny Got His Gun footage, black and white.
Yes. Uh, I thought it was great. I loved this, but of course they always said before, we will never make a video. We don't want to become commercial and stuff like that. And of course, a little bit they betrayed their fans. So a lot of people were kind of upset about Metallica. Uh, and they really started the thing. More extreme metal suddenly became mainstream, you know, and everybody was listening to Metallica then. And for us, that was like, some normal guys are now listening to our music. That was not good. We didn't like that at all. And a lot of other bands, they tried to follow Metallica and to become also more commercial. So a lot of bands try to get rid of their satanic image. You know, Destruction, Sodom, all those bands had some devil lyrics in the past. And they all then changed their lyrical style. They just wrote about society and problems and stuff like that. And were still into the old Venom style, of course. And I know, I remember creator Kasi always said, King Diamond is now the only one who has satanic lyrics. Hail King Diamond, you know.
Well, and you mentioned the Metallica influence on you. When you learned how to play guitar, you basically learned how to play guitar off the Kill 'Em All guitar book.
Yeah, that's true. So my guitar teacher is Mr. James Hetfield himself, not in person, unfortunately. I never met him. But I was so proud when I could play Seek and Destroy, The Four Horsemen, Jump in the Fire, all the songs. I could play the rhythm guitar for all the songs on the Kill 'Em All album. And I remember I played them every day. And when my friends came to have some beers with me, they were always annoyed by me because I was always playing guitar and I played Seek and Destroy 100 times. And I said, come on, sing with me, Seek and Destroy. And they was just, Infernal, just stop it.
And after that, you guys go through a lineup change. Now, yeah, so Cassie leaves and Alexander leaves the band. You guys hook up with Odin, obviously, and then you guys will hook up with a drummer named Wolfgang. So Odin's the bassist, who's obviously still with the band, and Wolfgang joins the band also, and you also wind up with Occulta. First of all, with Alexander and Cassie, how many shows did you guys wind up doing with that lineup?
Only this one show in the woods.
New lineup is April 1st, 1992. When is the first gig with the new lineup with Odin in the band and Wolfgang and Occulta?
When we played our first gig, Odin was in the audience. He didn't play. I remember Occulto tried to sing and play the bass at one time, and that failed totally. He couldn't hardly play bass, and it was too hard for him to do both, So we knew that Odin was playing bass in another band because we saw him live on stage. So we asked him, hey, come on, join our band, join Desaster. We need a bass player. Occulto can't do that. And he said, yeah, I can do it, but I don't have a bass. We said, we saw you on stage with a bass guitar. It was just a borrowed one, he said. So we say, okay, just borrow it or buy you a new bass and join Disaster. It's important so we can go on.
And so how long do you guys together before you guys do the first demo, The Fog of Avalon? 9 tracks, right? Including the intro, Twilight, and the outro, Dawn. Like, when do you guys how long does it take when you guys form to be able to go record that?
Yeah, at first when we really started the band in April 1st, 1992, you are right, that was then, exactly that date. It took a while to find our own style. I remember in the beginning, it was more like death metal. Occulto was doing some growling death metal vocals, and it took some time to find our own style. That was the time when the Scandinavian bands came up and released their first albums, and we were very much impressed by bands like Dark Throne, Emperor, and shit like that. And so we also wanted to go in this direction. And yeah, it took us until it was in mid '93 when we started to record for the first demo. Yes, that was that time. I think it was released in the end of '93.
You guys recorded that in your rehearsal room.
That's right. That's right. We had no money at all to afford a studio or something like that. And I always taped every rehearsal with my tape recorder. And it was only one microphone on the ceiling with which we recorded the first demo. That was kind of like a trial and error. We had to try out how loud must the bass be, how loud the vocals and stuff like that. And then, of course, from rehearsal to rehearsal, it was getting better and better. And at the end, it was not that bad. So we decided to record it and then to release it. It was the first step out of the rehearsal room into the world of heavy metal for us.
And at this time period, is Occulto writing the lyrics for the band?
Yeah, I think in the very beginning, I was also writing some lyrics. I remember some very boring times at school when I just wrote some lyrics instead of listening to the teacher. And so I helped him a little bit because his English was even worse than mine. So
They
yeah, it was
sound
hard
good, man.
for him. So it was really hard for him to write lyrics at the beginning, and I helped him a little bit. I think on the first demo, 2 lyrics are written by me, but I can't remember exactly.
And I read, we're actually going to play a track from the demo. We're going to play Witchcraft here in a minute. And I read an old interview that you guys did, and you said that the Fog of Avalon, the demo, is just as important as any Disaster release because it's part of a certain era of the band. And you pretty much state that throughout your career, right? Like no release is less important than the other.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. Every release has a big importance to us. Even today, I remember every release, and I can remember how how excited it was. How it was really great to have your own release in your hand. Of course, even today, now with the new album, it's always great if it arrives, if the vinyl and the CD arrives at home and you can put it on the record player and play it. It's so great. It's always a great feeling. So every release is important. Yeah, of course.
I'm going to play Witchcraft from that demo right now. We'll be back in a minute and we'll talk to you more. So this is going to be Disaster Witchcraft from the Fog Avalon demo that came out in 1993. And we'll be back with Markus right after this track on the Tampa Morgue. And that was Disaster with Witchcraft from the 93 Fog of Avalon demo. So December 1994, you guys entered Toxo Music Studios in Koblenz, Germany to record the Lost in Ages demo, which is like 6 track.
That's right. Yes. The Toxo studio was run by the punk singer of Toxoplasma, Wally, great guy.
Wally Waldorf.
Yeah, that's Wally Waldorf, yeah. And this was the cheapest way to record in that time. It was a lot of money for us because we were still pupils, you know. And yeah, but we said, okay, for the second demo, we need a better sound. So we decided to go to this real little but professional studio. I remember he had 8 tracks, 8-track studio. That was a lot for us back then.
And you've worked with Wally several times after, which we'll talk about tonight too. He also worked with Sadistic Intent, Nocturnal, and Iron Cobra, and other bands. And also the early vibe of the band, which is very influenced by the old ruins and castles back in the day, was very important to the band. And you guys actually spent time visiting those places, growing up.
That's right, yes. Since I was a child, I was fascinated by old castles and stuff like that, by the medieval times. I remember my father, he always took me to those places when I was a child. It was, of course, a lot of adventure, walking, climbing around the ruins, it was really great. Searching for some treasures and stuff like that. That was really impressive for me as a child. And when it came to form the band, when we were thinking about a kind of concept or something like that, I said, "Wow, why don't we don't use some castle pictures, some castles in the fog or something like that, which looks really dark and melancholic." And the others agreed with that, and they also loved it to visit those castles. We always, of course, did some party there, make some fire, had some beers, between the old stonework there. It was really great time, and it was kind of it was a great spirit around. And I think this also inspired us, and it became a part of our music as well.
Oh, you can hear it also in the, some of the melodies and the tuning and stuff like that of the band,
Yeah.
through the years. You could definitely hear that influence. And I had heard you say once that a dream you always had was to perform with the band inside of a castle.
That's true, and unfortunately, it never happened so far. Okay, we played in a fortress, I remember, in Germany one time, but never on a real castle ruin, That is still my dream. I still want that to happen one day, hopefully.
Alice Cooper did that here, actually. He played in a castle probably about 8 years ago over, in the
Oh,
yard.
cool.
It's amazing. Um, yeah, so you guys and, Lost in the Ages, you guys are Xeroxing the covers on those, right? Because it's a very you guys are very DIY at that time period.
Yeah, of course, of course. They were all Xeroxed covers. We bought the tapes in the supermarket, in the mall, and we taped everything for ourselves. It was a lot of do-it-yourself attitude then, and yeah, but it was cool because you had the contact, as I mentioned already, to all those guys from all around the world. It was so cool to trade your demos, to meet all those guys, to have contact with them. That was a fucking great time.
Are you guys starting to see, like, the fan mail come in from around the world then, starting to get letters from kids that are listening to the band actually? And that's gotta kinda be like a little mind blower for you.
Yeah, it was really cool. I remember my mother was really astonished that with this noise we could get some attention, and there were every day there were letters in our letterbox, with orders from guys who wanted to order the demo, and we also released some other stuff like posters. And I remember we recorded one show, and we offered that on videotape, and yeah, that was really cool. And I remember one letter from a mother. She was complaining that we sell this shit to her son. And she said, "I want the money back for the demo. That's so noisy. That's so much shit. That's impossible to earn some money with this shit." That was really crazy.
You should have told her if she would've saved the demo, she could sell it on Discogs now for probably, like, 35 times the price, if or more. Those old demos they go crazy, you know?
Yeah, that's
And,
true.
in 94, 95, what are some of the bands you guys are playing with at that time period?
Oh, a lot of bands, a lot of bands. I remember one of the bigger bands back then who played in our region were Marduk, Enslaved, and we could open for them. It was so cool for us because we, of course, love these guys. We love the music from these Scandinavian bands a lot. They were our idols, indeed. And yeah, it was cool to open for them. The circumstances were not that good because I remember there was a small stage and there was already the drum kit on it, and they told us we had to bring our own drum kit and we had to put it on this little stage. So there was no place left for us as musicians, and we had to play there. It was hard to play, but okay, we did it, and it was great. It was really good experience. Yes.
A time period, Disaster gets involved with Merciless Records out of Germany, which they formed in '94, which actually the split with On God is, I believe, you're number one in their catalog, the first release. 'Cause they put out the 7-inch, with 1,000 copies. So first of all, how did you get involved with Merciless Records? And also, you guys were their first release, correct?
I remember the first release was the first Ungot album. I think Merciless did it on cassette or on CD on LP. I can't remember really, but this was cool because Merciless Records discovered a lot of great bands that time, and Ungot was, of course, the first German black metal band of the second wave to release an album. And when they asked us newcomers to make a split EP with them, we were very proud. We were really very proud, and yeah, that was how it began.
But '95, Wolfgang leaves the band, and you bring in a session drummer, Tobias, and he wrote the track. He was part of the writing team for "The Hill of 1,000 Souls" with you guys, which is the track that's featured on the split with On God. So that song is actually about like the witch executions on Witch
That's
Hill,
right.
I
We
believe
have
it was called.
yeah. We have a witch hill here in our region where a lot of witches, so-called witches, of course, were burned uh, in the real bad times. It was not in the medieval times. It was already in the new times. But you see how stupid religion can take us, and yeah, this place really impressed us. We always visited this place where the witches were burned, and that inspired us for this song. Yes.
Nice. And you guys, where did you guys? Well, first of all, why did Wolfgang leave the band, and how did you guys get to know Tobias?
That's no great story behind because Wolfgang, he tried to lay his hands on my former girlfriend back then, and of course I didn't like that much. so
Yep.
so I just fired him. I kicked him out of the band. That was the reason. And yeah, it was a little brother of a classmate from me. Uh, he was starting to play the drums, and he was very talented. Tobias was really talented drummer, and I was glad when I could rehearse with him because he was much better than Wolfgang. Wolfgang only had one cymbal hanging in the middle of his kit, so it was a little bit boring, his playing style, and yeah, Tobias was much more skilled, and it was fun to play with him. Cool guy.
And that track for that, with the split with On God, The Hill, was that recorded at G-Birth? Was that the same place you recorded the next record at? G-Birth
No,
Music, I believe it was called?
it was again at Toxo Music.
Then October 1995, you guys enter a studio again to record the first full length, A Touch of Medieval Darkness, that would be released again on Merciless Records in April of '96. What are your members like? I think you guys did it in 3 days, first of all, but what memories do you have of recording that record?
Of course, it was very impressive for us to enter a real studio. Of course, we knew Vali's studio, the Toxo Music studio with 8 tracks. It was not big studio, and now we entered a real big studio. It was so impressing for us kids. And yeah, I think we were very unexperienced. And I remember when we did the mixing of the album, we really wanted to put delay, echoes, and stuff. I think on nearly every track we recorded, so we overdid it, of course. So the album sound at the end was not that good because there was too much effects on it, you know. Uh, but I still like the sound of the album. It is very unusual, I think. No other album sounds like that. And yeah, for a debut, I think it's quite good.
We'll bring in some artists to arrange keyboards for you guys. Haycat and Korea Minor. Whose idea was that, and where did you know them from?
Yeah, we always loved those intros. It was a kind of must for us in those times to have an intro for an album or for something for the live appearance. You know, we of course needed an intro, and this guy was another guy from our village. We knew him. He was a guy from the Gothic scene, from the Gothic wave scene, which was also very big back then in our region. And we knew that he had a band, that he played in a band, and he had a big keyboard, a really big keyboard. And we asked him if he could do some intros, outros, and he also did the middle part of the song called Crypts of Dracul, for example, or no, the beginning from the song he did. Yes, yes. And yeah, that was a cool cooperation with him.
Yeah, and again, on this record, you can see obviously the debut. You can see the fascination with the castles and the relics because you guys put out an 8-page Impressions of Medieval Spirits, Journey Through the Mighty Landscapes booklet with the record, and also you guys do the promo shots for that at Olberg Castle in Germany, which I think is like dates back to like the 12th century. That place.
That's true. That's true. That's one of my favorite castles. And some of the pictures were taken by myself. Some others were taken by a girlfriend I had back then. And yeah, that was cool. I really loved this booklet with the lyrics and those photos of the medieval castles. You know, that was really fitting to the music and to the whole concept of the album.
You guys change up your logo too, right? You guys bring in Christoph Svedel to change up the logo a bit.
Yeah, a lot of guys asked us if we are Nazis because we had those big S's in our old logo, which looked like the SS symbol from Mr. Hitler, you know. And of course, we are no Nazis. So we were glad that Christoph came to us and he offered us a new logo, which really looked good. So of course we changed it, and yeah, it was good that he came up to us before we really started to release albums. You know, that was good that the new logo was on it.
So we're gonna play "Disaster: A Devil's Sword" off a Touch of Medieval Darkness from Merciless Records in 1996, and we'll be back with Infernal after this track from Disaster.
Evil to man, and just like the sunshine.
and that was Disaster with Devil's Sword off A Touch of Medieval Darkness from 1996. And Infernal, so what, 94, 95, that's when you guys start doing the Hellbangers? Muscle Franken?
Yes, yes. We founded the Hellbangers, I think it was in 96. I think it was in 96. And yeah, it was a cool meeting from all the heavy metal fans from our region. And we decided on a party when we were totally drunk to give the whole shit a name. And so the Hellbangers were born.
And some of the bands that are involved with that, it's what, Disaster, Nocturnal, Midnight Rider, Euronymous?
Yeah, that's true. I counted all the bands we have in the Hellbangers, and I came up to, I think, 17 bands and projects in meanwhile. So it's a very active group of heavy metal fans you see. A lot of musicians are involved in our Hellbangers club, and yeah, it's cool. We just had a meeting with all the guys, and we had a lot of fun, a lot of beer, of course, and it was really good.
And was that founded by Akolto and Costa?
Yeah, yeah, together with Odin and me, and also Tormentor, he was in the Hellbangers back then. You know, uh, uh, we had to separate from our drummer, but in the past he was also in the Hellbangers. Yeah.
The first show you guys did for Hellsbangers, that was what, Destroyer 666, Secrets of the Moon, and like David Lee Roth?
That might be possible. I can't remember exactly. It's so long ago, but I think so. Yes, it was obviously it was one of the bigger shows we did. We usually do more smaller shows with 100 guys, you know, really underground stuff with local bands. But this was the first bigger festival we did. Yeah, it was cool.
And also for our listeners, we also have Odin with us too. He's hanging out right now with Infernal, so you may hear him chime in a few times too. So after you guys put out the Medieval Darkness record, how long is it before Tobins leaves the band?
It was not long after the release. We just did, I think, only 2 or 3 shows with him, and then he suddenly wanted to leave the band. He was too young. It was all very, very wild at that time, you know. He was really afraid of all the strange guys in the black metal scene, you know, we met, and there was a lot of violence going on at the concerts, and he was just too young, and so perhaps it was better that he left the band.
And so he's replaced by Tormentor. So is it true Tormentor's first time actually behind the drums was actually doing a sound check for Wolfgang back in, I think it was
Yeah, yeah,
93?
I remember. I remember he always wanted to play drums, but he couldn't afford an own drum kit. So he was always with us when we had concerts with the old lineup. He was a kind of roadie for Disaster back then, and of course he was glad that he could sit behind Wolfgang's drum kit to check out if he can play anything. Well, of course, it was not that good, but it was the beginning. It was cool.
And when he first joins the band, right? I had heard that he was kind of like just learning, getting his stuff together, but you guys were loyal because he was loyal to the band because he used to actually do some road, like help you guys out, set up the stage and stuff like that. So he was loyal before he was in the band at the shows.
Yeah, 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 that's true. You also had Disaster Road Crew on his leather jacket painted, you know. So he was a member of our crew. He was the only member of our crew. The crew was not that big. Yeah, and then after Toby left the band, we gave him the chance. We gave him the chance. He was not that good at the beginning. He hardly couldn't play the double bass, you know, but we gave him the chance.
And the first record you guys, well, the first recorder you guys do with him is the Stormbringer EP in '97 that came out on Merciless
Yeah,
Records. So how was the chemistry when he first joins between you and
it was
Odin
cool.
and the guys?
Yeah, it was cool. We had a great trip. We did a trip to celebrate his entrance in the band, you know. We visited some strange places in Germany and had some barbecues at some castle ruins with him to get him into the band, to introduce him to the style we live, you know. Of course, he knew us before, but it was cool to have him in the band as a full member then. And yeah, the chemistry was very good at the beginning, really good.
'97, you guys also go on tour with Behemoth and Svartsen out of Sweden, right? You guys do 9 dates in the Netherlands and Germany. What memories do you guys have of the tour?
That was, of course, a big thing for us. We only did a 3 days tour before with a real tour bus, and this was, of course, a big thing for us, playing in other countries and spent the night in the tour bus. Of course, we had a lot of fun with the other guys. Uh, I remember there was of course, a lot of vodka from the Polish guys, and yeah, it was cool. Great tour.
When you look back now, like '97, are you amazed kind of how big Behemoth got? Like the success that they've had? Did you have any idea back then in '97 that they would follow that path?
Yes, because Nergal, the singer and main man of Behemoth, has a strong personality. He has a really strong personality, and you could already recognize that he already knew what he wanted, that he wanted success, that he wanted to earn some money with the band as well. And yeah, it was cool to meet those guys when they were little. Now, of course, they are one of the biggest bands in the extreme metal scene. And I haven't met him so long. I would like to, and I would like to talk with him about the old tour. It would be cool.
And when do you guys start seeing start realizing that the fan mail starts coming in and stuff? You start seeing that people start listening to the band outside, like you're getting like mail from the States and stuff like that. Like when does that start happening to Disaster?
It began already in '93 and '94 with our demos. Uh, my letterbox was full every day. My mother was always complaining why there are so many letters in the fucking letterbox. And so we recognized that there are some people out there who liked our music, and that really got the ball started. There wasn't any internet or emails in the beginning, and it was all with letters, and there were interview requests from all over the world. That was really cool. We recognized that there's a real great extreme underground scene.
Next, you guys go on to do the Hellfire's Dominion record. You guys record that at Art House Studios in Germany. Is that the first? You guys do 10 tracks there. Is that like the first real budget you guys have and the first real studio you feel that you guys were in to record?
No, already with the debut album, A Touch of Medieval Darkness, we had a good budget for the recordings from Merciless Records, and we went to a studio in Koblenz in our hometown. But this was the first time, of course, we could visit another studio in another city, and it was in Velbert, where famous bands from Germany came from, Living Death and also Violent Force were from this city, and we got in contact with Atomic Steif, the drummer of Living Death, of Violent Force, and he even played in Sodom. And we had a fucking great time. We could spend all the time we recorded at his home, and it was great. He told so many old stories of the bands and of the metal scene there, and it was fucking great.
You guys recorded June
Yeah.
5th to June 14th, 9 days in the studio for that one, and you mentioned, Living Death and stuff. We opened up the show with Metalized Blood tonight, so I know you guys had members from, Living Death involved with that, and Violent Force and Pentacle. How did that come about, and what was that recording session like with those guys?
Yeah, it was cool because we recorded in their hometown in Living Death and Violent Force's hometown. So it was easy to get Lemmy of Violent Force for the recordings. He showed up in the studio. He did a great job. It was harder to get Toto, the singer of Living Death, because he had totally retired from the whole metal business. And Atomic Steif, he could persuade him to come to the studio to record his parts, and it was fucking great. His voice is so unique, so crazy. And yeah, Pentacle from Holland, blood brothers of Disaster. It was very easy to persuade Wannes, the singer, to come to the studio and do his part. And yeah, it's I think one of the best Disaster songs.
artwork on that was done by Stefan Lons. Didn't he run a zine in the 90s called Witchcraft Magazine?
Yeah, you're right. Yes, he's the cousin of Odin.
Ah, okay. So Odin, obviously you had something to do with that.
Was? Du hast damit zu tun. Womit? Mit dem Cover. No, I didn't. I found a picture in an art book, and Stefan took this picture and redesigned it. Kann man dazu sagen? Ja.
Nice. And you guys, on the vinyl edition of that, you guys also did a cover of Slayer's Black Magic?
That's right. We are, of course, big Slayer fans. Slayer is they are the kings of thrash metal, of course, and we had to do it.
And with in your opinion, Infernal, do you think that that was the best release of the Occultist years?
No, my favorite one is the Tyrants of the Netherworld album. The Hellfire's Dominion, of course, is very good, and a lot of fans like it very much because there are two top 10 hits on it. It's of course Metalized Blood and it's Teutonic Steel. The fans love these tracks. But I think with the Tyrants album, we really, really found our own sound, and Occulta was on the top of his singing. It was so cool, and everything fits together. The cover artwork, sound of the album, the songs were great. It was really good. So that's my personal favorite Disaster album.
And did you guys do a lot of shows in support of Hellfire's Dominion?
Yeah. I remember we nearly had shows every weekend. We always sit in our small cars with the guitars on our knees, and drove hundreds of kilometers to some German cities or to some cities in the Netherlands, in Belgium, Switzerland. We played at that time. That was a big thing for us. We also crossed the Alps and went to Italy for the first time. It was really amazing for such a young band, And yeah, we really, really did a lot of touring. And that was too much for Occulta. He didn't like that too much.
I'm gonna play Hellfire's Dominion right now off that record from 1998 on Merciless Records, and we'll be right back with Infernal after this track from Disaster. This is Hellfire's Dominion. That was Disaster with Hellfire's Dominion from 1998 from the Merciless Records. So the last releases you did with Merciless Records was the 7-inch Ride On for Revenge and 10 Years of Total Disaster in 99. Why did you change the label? And I know you're still friends with the owner though, right? Volkar?
The main reason, we still are in good contact. I just wrote with him yesterday about some re-releases in the meanwhile. So no, it was it was because, to be honest, he's a little bit lazy guy, and it always took a long time to work with him. You know, we already recorded a Touch of Medieval Darkness album, the debut album, in 1995, and it took too long that he released it. It was released in '96. And I was a little bit angry about that, and so we decided to change the label.
Yeah, you spent what, 5 years with Merciless, correct?
Yeah, around about, the first release was 95 with the split single with Angod, and the last release was, I think, the 10 years album in 1999. Yeah, it was 4 years, about 4 years. Yeah.
Next, you hook up with Iron Pegasus, and so you knew Costas for about 8 years prior to that. So was that an easy choice?
Yeah, of course, of course. We were Hellbangers comrades, you know, and we knew about his passion for metal. We knew about his skills, and it was the perfect label for us back in this time, because totally dedicated to the underground, of course, you know, and he also did a really good job.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about I know you mentioned that you're a really big fan of Tyrants. We're gonna talk about that record now. You put out on Iron Pegasus, Tyrants of the Netherlands. You guys go to Audio Artist Studios in Germany for that one from, I think for July 14th to the 19th in 2000?
Yeah, that's true. That was a studio in the near of Stuttgart, and we like the sound of the Mahamic Truth things. You know, this old German black metal band, and they recorded at this studio, which was run by a guy who was more in the gothic scene, but he knew to produce good drum sound. And on the Hellfire's album, the drum sound was not bad, but it could be better. So we wanted a better drum sound, and we loved the drum sound of Mahamic Truth, and so we went to this studio for the Tyrants album.
And in your opinion, that's the perfect, Disaster record?
Yeah, definitely, because the drum sound is cool. The artwork, as I said already, is iconic. It was Occulto who found this cover. It was an announcement for some medieval festival somewhere in our region, and he just stole the poster from a wall, you know, and said, "Wow, look at this! This looks so cool."
And that's your favorite
And he
cover,
came up
right?
with this. Yeah, that's definitely my favorite cover. I love it. I love the color, you know, this blue color. It's also the color of my favorite football club. So of course I love it. And yeah, it's definitely the perfect Disaster album.
And also up to that point, would you say that was the darkest Disaster record that you guys had done?
Yes, I would say so. I think there are many songs which are very dark, and I think the title track, "Tyrants of the Netherworld," is our best song we have ever written. It unites every element Disaster is known for, and yeah, I really think this is great.
And we mentioned Pentacle before. 2000, Iron Pegasus releases the Disaster, in league with Pentacle. You guys cover, A Serpent in the Blood Red, and then they cover a track from you guys, In a Winter Battle. That's another but you guys are friends, like you said, that was the easy thing to set up?
Yeah, it was very easy, of course, and it was our aim was to show that we are really united with those Dutch guys, you know. You know, in the past, Germany and Holland and the Netherlands didn't have the best relationship because of Second World War and shit like that, you know. And so it was a really a sign to show that we are really good friends nowadays. And yeah, that's cool. It still lasts for today. The contact is not that regular anymore, but sometimes I write with Wannes, and if he listens to this show, I say hello to him.
Then you guys also do Souls of Infantry, also on Iron Pegasus, the 7-inch, which is you guys do a Razor cover of Crosby Fool. Then you also do, so you guys do live tracks from Wacken that year in 2001. And I had heard you say something that you did enjoy playing Wacken before, but you're not into those you're not into the corporate festivals now, right? You don't like the fact that festivals are charging $200 a ticket, $150 a ticket. That's something that you kind of have shied away from now.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. They are even getting worse. I think nowadays they take $350 for a festival. You know, that's unbelievable. That has nothing to do with heavy metal anymore. I think it's just a circus. You know, there is not the music is the most important thing at festivals like Wacken and some other festivals. So we don't support this. We don't play there. In 2001, they weren't that big. There were, I think, 20,000 people only. Nowadays, they have nearly 100 or 80,000. It's too big. It's too big. It's not nothing for an underground band like Disaster anymore.
Now, is that the last show that Occulto does with you guys before he leaves?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Immediately after this show, I think 1 week later, he came to the rehearsal room and said, "I quit the band."
9 years, 3 albums with the band. He leaves, and then you guys find the Sataniac joins the band. How do you find him?
We always organized concerts with the Hellbangers guys, you know. And there was one show we organized with Asphyx, with Warhammer from Germany, and also Sataniac's old band Divine Genocide from our local region. They played there as a support band, and we were really impressed by this guy. He looked like Peter Steele, you know, with his bass. He played bass and did the vocals in this song. He had big muscles, and that looked great. And of course, his voice it blew us away when he first took over the microphone in our rehearsal room. He really blew it away. He blow away one speaker. You know, the speaker exploded because it was still. Uh, 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 it was still set up for Occulto's voice, you know, and he really blew up a speaker. That was amazing.
Now I was gonna play Disciples of Darkness, but would you rather me play Tyrants of the Netherworld next?
I
I'll let
would
you choose
prefer
this
that,
one, man.
but
I'll play it then. Yeah, I'm gonna
thank you.
play Tyrants of the Netherworld from Disaster, from the Tyrants of the Netherworld record from 2000 on Iron Pegasus Records, and we'll be back with Infernal and Odin in a few minutes here after this track from Disaster. That was Disaster with Tyrants of the Netherworld. Came out in 2000. When was the first show with Taniac?
It was, I think, only a few weeks after Occulto left the band. We started to rehearse with him immediately, because the next show was already planned. It was in our hometown. I think it was also, yeah, it was a jubilee. It was the gig, the concert number 100. We already had planned this event, and of course we wanted to do it. And because Sataniac was new in the band, we asked Wannes of Pentacle if he also could do some songs. We did some cover versions with him. He also learned some Disaster tracks. We had another friend, I think he was singing one song. So it was a really cool gig.
And gig wise, 2001, you guys played what? Fuck the Commerce 4, You guys are playing, you guys did a Hellbangers Fest in Portugal with Satyricons, Sodom, Dismember, Destruction, and Impaled Nazarene. You guys play Stonehenge Fest. And what, for you, what are some of your favorite festivals that you've played?
It was amazing. After Occulto left the band, it really started with Disaster. Really, the ball started to roll, and we played a lot of festivals all around Europe. And of course, there were some great festivals. I remember this show in Portugal. It was so hot. It was so hot, and we nearly died on stage. It was too hot. Uh, there were so many great festivals. Uh, I can't point out one of them.
You guys played Brazil in 2002, right? You guys played the Brazilian Blitzkrieg with Blasphemies, which is actually wound up on the Mutilation Records release.
Yeah, yeah, that was a cool story. Those guys from Mutilation Records asked us to do a live recording, and they wanted to release it, and we said, okay, we have our own record company. We can play a show here and release it as a live album. We don't need your company." And they said, "No, you have to come to Brazil. We pay all your bills and play the show. We record it, and then it's released." We said, "Okay, that's a deal. Let's do it."
Nice. 2002, you do your first record with Sataniac. You guys do Divine Blasphemies. What you guys did that in 7 days. That actually has a couple old songs from Divine Genocide, which you mentioned earlier, correct? That you guys did Necro Lord and Shadow Winds.
Yeah, that's true. We wanted to show Satanic's background a little bit, so we chose these two songs. One was only on the vinyl version of the album, uh, to that the people can see his roots, that they know, okay, Satanic is not a newcomer, it's not a new guy, but he has a musical background. He played cool songs in the past. We wanted to support his old band, which of course was not existing anymore back then. And yeah, that was a cool thing. I still like these songs from his old band.
Did he start writing the lyrics at that time period? Did he take over that?
Yeah, he did. He did. I always did one song, one lyric for one song on every album. But he is a better lyric writer.
And the cover art for that was done by a Thomas Westphal.
Yes, yes, he runs a great fanzine in Germany. He's well known for his great interviews and stuff like that. And I didn't know that he also can paint. And Tormentor said he's a great artist. Let's take him for the next album artwork. And he did a great job. I like this one.
And that record, you guys also bring in Millie from Creator to do some vocals on Nighthawk.
Yeah, that's true. That was a great story. Uh, Miller came to our hometown, to Koblenz, where we recorded the Divine Blasphemous album, and he did a great job. And he rented a car to come to Koblenz, and we said, "Come on, we pay you the cost. We give you money. Say how much you get." And he said, "No, guys, I'm proud to support you. I'm proud that you asked me to play on your record," and it was so cool. I never had thought about that, and of course, nowadays, Creator is one of the biggest thrash metal bands on the planet, and we are proud to have Miller on the record.
I mean, and you guys have been around for a while. You've seen a lot of shit, man. Have you watched bands that you grew up with get big and kind of act like, the other bands don't exist that they grew up around? If that question makes any sense at all.
It makes a sense. It makes a sense. Uh, but Odin, do you remember one band which was not treating us right after they've become big? I can't remember. No.
No.
We didn't make any bad experience with that.
Nice.
No, never.
And after you guys do that record, The Divine Blasphemies, you guys leave Iron Pegasus.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We recognize that it's always a problem with the distribution. A lot of fans wrote to us and said, "We can't get your albums for a reasonable price in our country. We have to order it in Germany. That's too expensive. The postage is too high and stuff like that. And we recognize that we need a better distribution. And of course, a small underground label, which is run only by one man, is not able to distribute records all over the world. So we decided to change the label.
You guys, obviously, that we'll talk about what you're beginning with a Metal Blade and stuff, but between 2003 and 2005, you guys put out 2 live albums, a split with Iron Fist out of Singapore on Ravage Records, and a split with Japan Sabbath on Witchhammer Productions. You guys also played Brazil, 2003. That Brazil show, that was pretty packed. You guys had like almost like 800, 900 kids at that gig.
Yeah. It's unbelievable how big we are in Brazil. There are always a lot of people showing up to our concerts. We are used to play for some small hundred of fans in Germany, and when we come to Brazil, it's always packed, and it's amazing how they react. They are real maniacs. It's always great to play there.
And for you, man, for touring around, you guys have been around for a while. Like I said, like what are your like country wise? Like what's the difference? Obviously, like South America is supposedly insane, like crowd wise. Like for you, do you notice the difference in like the different countries you play in? And what would be the most, I guess, old school metal country that you play in where you just have that vibe the whole time you're there?
Well, of course, it's South America is always great. There are a lot of dedicated fans, of course, who like the old German thrash metal bands and stuff like that. But also in Eastern Europe, the people are very dedicated. I remember when we did a tour in East Europe, especially the guys in Serbia, they were really great. Uh, they can't speak that good English, so they were not singing the vocals to our songs, but they were singing the melodies. They were singing my guitar tunes, and that was so amazing. I felt like being an Iron Maiden, you know? It was really cool.
And then you enter the studio to do the Angelwhore record, your first one with Metal Blade. And on this one, you guys are starting to write longer songs.
Yes. We, I don't know what happened to us. I think we overdid it a little bit. The songs were really, in retrospective, they were really too long. They had too many riffs, too many rhythms. And we started with one song, which was not a good opener, you know. So it's definitely not our best album. Some fans always say, "Okay, that's really not a good album," but I like it. It's like I'm a father of 10 children now, so of course I also like the Angelo album. It's the black sheep of the family, but I love it.
You
Not
guys
the
use
best.
Chris Moyen on that, which I know he does the new artwork too, which we'll talk about tonight. But that was the first time you worked with Chris?
Yeah, that was the first time. We loved his artworks he did for underground bands, very extreme bands, you know, Buried and Blasphemy and stuff like that. It was great that we could work with him, and we were proud that he agreed and did this great artwork. I love his style.
You guys also bought Martin Missy on there. We had him on episode 74 with us here from Protector. He sings on a track on that album too, Nihilistic Overture.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That was cool to get him for the record. He's a great guy. He lives in Sweden right now, and I'm glad that he finally reformed Protector after many years of silence, and he's still active, and he's a cool guy, and we love his voice. We also did a cover version of Protector, and it hasn't not been released yet, but I'm thinking about that.
Nice. And the intro to that record on the Angelwhore record, that was done by Patrick Engel of Hate Spawn.
That's true. That's true. Nowadays, he also played in Impending Doom, another cool underground band from East Germany. And nowadays, he's only doing recordings and remasterings and stuff like that. And I always try to persuade him to come back to the music, to come back to a band, to reform Impending Doom, for example. But he always, unfortunately, he always refused and said no. I'm too old for this shit now. That's really a pity.
Off the Angelwhore record, you guys do what, a 10-date tour in 2005, The Cry of the Angelwhore, Brazil, Peru, Colombia. You guys also play at England, Finland, Sweden, Ireland. And I actually had someone write us and wanted me to ask you if you're going to head back to Croatia anytime soon. One of our listeners, Ivan, his name was.
That would definitely be great. We love Croatia. It was cool to play there. I remember we played in a castle. That was really cool. We had backstage rooms, very big backstage room there, and that was really cool to play there. And of course, we want to come back. We wait for some invitation.
And then 2006, you guys put out a 3-song EP, Infernal Voices on Iron Pegasus, a 12-inch. You guys did a cover on that record too, an Unleashed cover, Before the Creation of Time.
Yes, well, Unleashed ever was one of my favorite bands. Uh, I remember when I started to play the guitar, I always wanted some great death metal sound, And when I saw the video clip to this song from Unleashed, I thought about, wow, he is playing an Ibanez guitar, and I want this guitar, so I have the same sound like Unleashed. Of course, when I bought the guitar, I didn't have the same sound because I needed some pedals and stuff like that, and I didn't know about that. But I'm still have this guitar. I play it, and it's my favorite guitar. That's really cool. So Unleashed was a big influence of Disaster.
And you mentioned the Protector cover that you guys did. Is there any other covers that you guys have recorded that you haven't released?
I have to see. I have to have a look at my museum. But I think only the Protector one hasn't been released.
2007, you guys do Soldiers, Satan Soldier Syndicate on Metal Blade, done at Harrow's studio in Holland for the 6th record. Are you now? What's the difference for you guys? Can you feel the difference working with Metal Blade already at that time, 2007? Did you start seeing where it benefited the band right away?
No, no, no. It was not a big difference. It was same like always. This time we were inspired by Asphyx. They have recorded at this studio, and we always loved the really really fat sound of the guitars of Asphyx and stuff like that. And I wanted to check out this studio, so we tried out this studio. We recorded the Infernal Voices song before there to check the studio out, and we loved the sound. So we returned to the studio for the Satan's album.
You guys had some guests on that one too, right? You had guest spots from Malakesh, Apsu, Primadora. How do you guys set that up? Was that bands that you've been friends with for years?
Yes, yes, of course. With Alan from Primordial, I had already contact in the demo tapes times. We exchange our demos. It was great doing tape trading and stuff like that. And we knew that the guy of Malakesh, he is living in the Netherlands where we recorded. So it was easy to get him for the solo he played on the album. It was great to see him playing. He recorded so many tracks, more than the whole other band needed. It was really amazing. Yeah, and with Apsu, that was also cool to have him on the record, but he didn't show up in person, of course, because he's living in USA. But Proscriptor is a great guy, and we love his music. Great artist.
And the name Satan Soldier Syndicate, where does that come from?
Yeah, that was a kind of I don't know. It was a kind of, let's say, not joke, but we said, okay, we are some kind of unity with our fans. We have a syndicate with our fans, and of course, we and the fans are together, soldiers, of course, for Lord Satan.
And you mentioned, soldiers. So what you, Odin, Tormentor, and Sataniac have been together for this is your third album together, right? Now writing together, is it easy for you guys at that time period just to bang out songs? Because I know, like, one thing I did want to mention is, and I've heard you say it before in other interviews, that the great thing about Disaster is you guys all have real jobs outside of this. So it's not like you don't have to count on the financial part of it. You do it because you love it.
Yeah, that's definitely right because I think it's also one of the reasons why we are still around. We have never took the step to real professionality. Uh, I think if we would have become a touring band with regular tours every year, we wouldn't exist anymore. Touring is very hard. You have to do it on a professional status. If you do it like we do, so drinking all day long, you will die soon. So the best decision was to stay underground, not to become a commercial, and that was really, really, really the better decision.
Nine, you guys do a comp, 20 years of total disaster. Then you guys do another split with Sabat. You do a cover of Darkness of Evil, and they do a cover of Porter of Hell Gate. So the next record. So between that, right, there's 5 years between Satan's and the next record, The Art of Destruction. Is that because you guys are never in a hurry when you write? It has to just be right. It has to feel right and just come together naturally.
That was definitely one of the reasons. I think another reason was that, of course, we were uh, we were very busy with our jobs. We were starting. I was starting a family back then. And of course, then the band is of course a big part in your life, but not the biggest anymore.
12, you guys do The Art of Destruction, recorded at Toxo Music, mixed and mastered at Temple of Disharmony. With that, again, you're working with Wally Waldorf. Coming back after 5 years, did it just feel right?
Yeah, it felt always right. He's a great guy. No, he's a punk guy, a little bit wild and crazy, and it's always cool to work with him. A little bit of chaos, and of
A little
course
bit of
a lot of chaos. Yes, a lot of chaos, and of course chaos fits totally to Disaster. So it's always a good feeling with him.
I don't know what you think, but I felt like that's a good example of Disaster, The Art of Destruction.
You really think so?
I
That's
did,
cool to
yeah.
hear. That's really cool to hear. Some guys said that it's also not our best album, The Art of
Hmm.
Destruction.
It's one of my favorites.
It's one of your favorite,
Yeah,
Odin?
yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that.
There you go,
But
Odin.
other fans thank you, Odin, yeah.
Yeah.
But some fans said, "Okay, Disaster's always doing the same kind of shit," they were a little bit bored perhaps of this album. I don't know. I also like it. I like it a lot. We just tried to do the title track live. It was hard to do it, so we did it only once. It's really Tormentor has some strange rhythms in there, and was cool. But yeah, the Art of Destruction is definitely a good album. Yes.
You had Mark from Morgoth on there, Leper Colony.
Yeah,
Also did
that's
a guest
great.
spot on that record.
Yeah. That's really cool. Have you heard the band he now has with the guy of from Denmark? Scheiße.
Ich weiß gar nicht mehr den Namen.
I can't remember the name. He has a new band. He plays with a very famous musician from Denmark. Die weiß es auch nicht. No, we don't know.
You guys also did we had
Sorry.
John on here not too long ago. You guys also did a cover of Cancer Fucking Cancer from Cancer that came out on the High Roller. That was on High Roller Records release, right? That one, that cover.
Yeah, that's true. That was cool because Cancer is one of our favorite death metal bands, and we did the cover to show our love also to English bands, which of course started all heavy metal music.
Was that the first video you guys did too? Because did you guys do a video? You guys did one for Phantom Funeral, the Graveyard video.
Yeah, we always refuse to show our ugly faces to the public on videos. But that was the first time we did it, and we wanted it to be, of course, as evil as fuck. So we walked to an old cemetery, but it was raining all the time, and it was really really hard to record this video. But I like the outcome of the video. It was the first video because it's not a professional one. You know, we're not a professional band, but for an underground band, I think it's a cool one.
Now, did you actually hate filming the video though when you guys were out there? Was it kind of like not your thing?
Yeah, we don't like it any very much, you know. And so even nowadays, the record company Metal Blade asked us to do a video clip for the new album, and we just say no, thank you.
And you guys, what, 2014, you guys also did a live record, Live from Bamberg, which was recorded in November 23rd, 2013. Is that like when you guys release, so when you put out a live record, is it kind of like, because it's everything, obviously it's a live record. So if there's any mistakes or any kind of fuck ups, it's the way it has to be. Is it hard when you listen to a live record to actually say, okay, we're going to put this out?
Uh, Normally, we really put much effort in recording a cool live album. So most of the time, we really did a cool live album without much mistakes. Of course, there are mistakes on it, but we leave it as they are because it's normal. We are called Disaster. Of course, there is always also disaster on the stage, so no problem for us. And yeah, the fans always like the live albums because I think it delivers our energy and our power very good.
You guys do a split with Soulburn, a 7-inch on Cyclone Records out of Germany in 2015. Then you do a compilation in 2016, which has a bunch of the demos on there and stuff and some unreleased material. Then 2016, you guys do The Oath of an Iron Ritual, again on Metal Blade, 10 tracks. And this one's done at the band's home studio. Am I correct?
That's right. That was the first time. Was it the first time or second time?
No,
I think it was the first time we recorded at our rehearsal place. It was cool. It was cool to make this decision to record at home because it's very relaxing. You can record whenever you want. You're not bound to some studio days, and yeah, that was really good. And so we decided to do it from then for every album.
And also 2016, I think there's a lot of firsts for the bands then. You guys did, I think you guys played the first time ever in Poland in 2016 after 28 years.
Yeah, that might be correct. That might be correct. We always had many, many fans in Poland, and we always wanted to play there because we heard a lot of wild stories from other bands which have been played in Poland already, and they always said the fans are so wild, they are extreme, and yeah, but nobody invited us to Poland. I don't know why. We are too ugly, yeah, perhaps. So we were glad to had to play there for the first time. It was amazing. It was within, I think, 30 seconds. I saw 5 bloody noses in the audience. Really, really, really hard stuff.
Also, you guys' first time in Canada and the US. You guys booked 4 gigs, Milwaukee, Montreal, Texas, and Maryland. I think you guys had a LA show booked.
I can't remember. We played in LA before. In LA and Chicago it was?
Yeah.
It was in Chicago, yeah. Yeah, it was great. That was our first tour, little tour in America, in North America. And for the second time, we returned with also one show in Canada, which was really hard because the flight was delayed to Canada. So we had to drive from the airport to the stage and back to the airport afterwards. We didn't get any sleep and stuff like that. Always very hard, but it was a cool tour.
What was your impressions of the States when you first got to America?
It was, of course, very impressive. I must say, I have never expected that there are some guys uh, knowing Desaster and loving our music. So we were very surprised that when we played at that show in Los Angeles and the other show in Chicago, that there was so many fans knowing our songs, and that was really cool. It was really impressive.
2006, you guys played Brofest in the UK with Satan. 2016, you guys also play Kings of Black Metal in Germany with Take and Artgoat. And then, I want to mention too, 2017, you formed Moontowers. How does that start, and how does, if I'm saying the names right, Fabio and Kratz get involved? And I know Dirk also was like a blues singer, right?
Yeah, he has a local blues band, which is called Blue Side. Check it out. Really good blues rock band. A very talented singer. And yeah, it was with Tormentor. I always played some riffs and rhythms which didn't fit to Disaster. And they were too good to be thrown away. So I was thinking about forming another project together with Tormentor, and we released a single with a band called Lunar Eclipse. This was some kind of forerunner for Moontowers. Uh, and it was just a joke, but yeah, we didn't sell any copies of that 7-inch single. But it was the beginning of this project. It's not a project; it's a real band. I found those other guys. You mentioned them, and it's a really cool band. Check out; it's great, epic heavy metal music.
I'm actually going to play a track from it right in a moment here. You guys' first release was a 3-song, The Arrival EP in 2018, which was independent release. And does Dirk handle all the lyrics in the band?
Yes, he's doing all the lyrics. He's a big fantasy fan, so a lot of his lyrics deal about some topics like Lord of the Rings and shit like that. But he likes it. It fits to the epic music. Uh, and so it's cool. We are just to release our second album. I hope that this year we'll also see a new Moontowers album.
Nice. And the logo for you guys, Christophs did that, right? Fidel, who did the logo for you guys and Disaster also?
Yeah, he's the king of all logos. He did so many logos. He also released a book with all logos he made, and he also
Yeah.
made the logo for Emperor, big bands. He's a very well-known guy in the scene.
You know
It was really
here's a
fun.
trivia question for you. Do you know the first logo he ever did?
No.
Morbid Death
Morbid
was
Death.
the first
Okay.
logo he ever did. If I'm
Okay.
correct, I believe that's the first one he ever did. But you got,
Cool.
so Moontowers, you do that. And you also put out a 3-song split with Night with a K out of India on Diabolic Might Records, 12-inch vinyl. And then 2020, Moontowers releases Crimson Harvest on CD and vinyl at 11 tracks. And I'm actually going to play Strike 'Em Down from the Arrival EP. Anything you could tell us about that track?
Yeah, it's not my favorite track of Moontowers because it's too fast. It's too fast.
And if there's something else you want me to play, Matt, just let me know. It's no problem.
Yeah. I prefer, for example, the song Farewell, because Farewell shows more the epic side of my other band, the sad. It's a very sad song, and I think the vocals are really great. It was the first song the Moontowers singer Dirk rehearsed with us. So I got goosebumps on my arms everywhere when I first heard his voice to the music. It was so amazing. It was really great moment.
Well, I'm gonna play that then. I'm gonna play Moontowers Farewell off the Arrival EP from 2018. And we'll be back with Infernal after this track from Moontowers.
trains are marching on soon. Soon our time will come. Farewell. Until we meet again. Farewell. Until we meet again. Ride on. Sacred Bastille. Ride on. To no man we kneel. Farewell. Until we meet again. 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 Ride on. Sacred Bastille. Ride on. To no man we kneel.
And that was Moontowers with Farewell. And then 2018, Tormentor leaves the band. Now we're back to Disaster again.
Yeah, to be exact, he was thrown out of the band, unfortunately. It was a hard decision for us because you might have known that he joins Asphyx as well, and he also joined Sodom as well. So he had 3 big bands, and he always does a lot of other projects,
2 big bands. I think.
Yeah, yeah. So it was too hard. He also moved away from Koblenz, and we couldn't go on with him any longer because we are a band which lives in the rehearsal room. We create songs, face by face, and that's very important for us. And it was not longer possible to do it with Commando. It was so sad because we were the best friends ever, and it was a hard decision. We really cried on this night.
You guys replaced so he was replaced by Marco, right? Which Marco was in Divine Genocide?
Yeah, exactly. He played together with Satanic back in the days. They started this death thrash band, and after that, he also became the drummer of a very, very well-known. What is it? Is it punk?
Jupiter Jones?
Yeah, that's
Punk.
Jupiter Jones. They were very popular. They had a song which was the most running radio track in a year in Germany. So you can imagine how many money he made with this band. And he just was asked to do a reunion with this band because they split up. And he said, "No, I want to do noise with Disaster."
That's awesome. 2020, you guys do a split with Decade out of Portugal, a 7-inch on Hell Prod Records out of Portugal, and then 2021, Churches Without Saints, which is a great record. And with that album, you wanted to do an album that was like more in the direction of Tyrants.
Yeah, because I really love the dark sound of the Tyrants album. I want to try to recreate it a little bit, of course. I don't want to imitate old stuff from us, but I wanted to go in this direction. We try to. I doubt that we achieved the goal. Yeah, in retrospective, the sound isn't that good. I think we didn't manage to come close to the Tyrants album.
Was it hard too? Because that time period, obviously, we all know about the pandemic and all that bullshit. Was it hard not to be able to play the material before you record it? Like, go out and play it live?
We couldn't play it live, of course, but we played it in the rehearsal room. We weren't allowed to in Germany. There were some strict laws that people were not allowed to gather together, but we gave a shit about that because we are uh, guys who love freedom, and we don't give a shit about any laws. And so we met in the rehearsal room. We had fun. We had beer, and we of course played our songs and rehearsed for the album.
And that album was mixed by Jan, who did sound for you guys, and Asphyx, and that was, like, kind of his
Yes.
first big production?
Yes, Jan Gensheimer is always our live mixer, where he's doing a good job, where we can annoy him a lot. So, yeah, I really think it was one of his biggest productions so far. And together with me, he really fucked up the mix. No, honestly, I still like the sound. I think, of course, our ears were a little bit bleeding after all those hours in front of the speakers. So there is some treble, some high, uh, some high notes missing on the album. Yeah, that's one point I have to criticize. I have to criticize myself, and of course Jan Gensheimer, who's responsible for that. Yeah, but I
And
still like the sound.
and you guys is it true that you guys bought, like, a old-ass mixing board into that to give it that old school sound?
Yeah, we borrowed it. We borrowed it. It was really big. It hardly fitted into our rehearsal room. It was really hard. It was delivered by a big van, and it needs 4 guys to carry this old mixing board into the rehearsal room. But I think it has some special sound which really contributes to the Disaster sound.
And the intro on that was done by Tobias Schmitz, and that was a kind of influence from The Cure, that vibe on that intro?
On the intro, I don't know exactly. It was more on the outro. The outro was influenced by The
The
Cure
outro, I
because
mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, the outro.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the outro was because in when I was a little child, with I think I was 11, I got into The Cure, into this sound, this melancholic, sad sound, and I liked it a lot. And I wanted to put some tribute on this band.
And you guys do that, and then 2024, you guys are supposed to play, obviously, the Metal Threat, and obviously, we all know what happened there, it got canceled, but you're supposed to play there this October coming up in Illinois.
Hopefully it will take place this time. We haven't got any flights yet, so we really hope that this will take place this time. We still need some visas, to come to America. It's now harder for foreign guys to come to the United States. and we really hope that this will happen.
And I wanted to ask you too, 2024, there was a release, Infernal Fire, which I think came out on a split with Chapel of Doom. What's the story with that?
That's that's a great story because sometimes those other guys they really fuck me up. So I'm alone in the rehearsal room because they don't come, they don't show up. So it was one of those nights, I got totally drunk and I said, well, I can play every instrument my own for my own. I recorded drums, I recorded bass, I recorded the guitars, and I always tried to sing, It was just a recording for myself. I just sent it to um, 3 or 4 friends, and one of these friends, he liked it so much. He's running a fanzine called Hellbike magazine, and he asked me to release that on a split vinyl 7-inch, which is always included with his magazine. And I said, okay, if you like this shit, do it. So I had to choose a band name. I again asked Christoph to make a logo. He again did it for free for me. Very good. Thank you, Christoph. And so this project starts. It's not taken too serious, but recently, I think 1 week ago, I was in my holidays. I was also drunk again at the rehearsal place. I recorded a new song, so the project is still going on.
There you go. It's relevant.
Yeah, the
$2,000.
song is called Puta Muerte.
Ah, nice. 2024, you guys put out a live album, Bring in the Storm to Rotterdam on 12-inch through Nomad Snake Pit Productions out of the Netherlands, tracks from the 97 tour. And that brings us to now, right? 2025. You guys have a new record coming out called Kill All Idols on Metal Blade. This is actually 20 years with Metal Blade now.
Yes, we have to celebrate this with the guys. Unfortunately, we never met Brian Slagle in person. That would be one of my dreams to meet him uh, because he's a legend. He's a legend. He discovered all those legendary bands we know and which were of course our favorite bands. So would be cool to meet him. And of course, we are glad to be on Metal Blade Records. It's a great honor for us. We are a small underground band, so it's cool to be supported by this label. Great.
This one has 10 tracks, rehearsal room again, right? And you guys had it mixed at Earhammer Studios, which is run by Greg Wilkinson, bassist for Autopsy. So yeah, how does that whole, how do you hook up with Greg? And again, you must love recording at your at your own jam room.
Yeah, it was cool to record again at our home. It was always great. And this time, the idea was to give one song after the recordings to 4 different sound engineers. And it was our drummer's idea to give it to Greg because he loves the sound of the Autopsy albums, the last ones, and also the other productions he did. And so he was one of those 4 guys. And at the end, he did it. He won the race. And we are glad to have it because I think he really managed to get disaster sound to 2025. Uh, and that's cool. That's really great.
And you guys recorded a lot of those are done in one takes, right? A lot of those songs on that new record's coming out.
That's true. That's true. It's always important for me to have a very spontaneous feeling, to have a live feeling. So I always record together with the drums. I record one guitar. It's very important for me to have this certain atmosphere, and I think you can feel some sort of live feeling also on the new album.
And the cover art is done by an Italian artist, right? It's a classical painting. It's actually
Not
I
exact.
should say it's inspired by is what I should say actually,
Yes,
because Chris Moyen
yes,
did
it
it
wasn't.
again.
Yeah, he did it again. You're right, and it was inspired. Yes, you are right. By Caravaggio is his name. Uh, uh, I think he was a friend of Da Vinci or some guy like that. Yeah, our singer has a concept in his mind with the album title and also with the album artwork. And his idea was to give the idea of this classic painting to Chris Moyen. And he did a great job. He did a great painting for himself in his own style, very demonical style. And yeah, that's cool. I love the artwork in the meanwhile.
And through the years, right, the lyrics, you guys' lyrics have kind of changed. I mean, 'cause, when you first start out, it's more of like the Satan and the demons and stuff, and now you guys have gone towards more towards the real life evil, which
That's
plays into the
also
title of
true.
the album.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. In the past, we had songs like Devil's Sword, you played already. Of course, they were inspired by hell, by the devil, by the demons, by all this fantasy stuff, which is from the Holy Bible, of course, which is the most well-known fantasy book on earth, I think. After the Lord of the Rings, perhaps. So, so you see, in the past, that was, of course, it was. We were Venom fans. Of course, we wanted to sound like them. We wanted to have lyrics like them. In the meanwhile, our singer, he really sings about the real hell, and the real hell is happening on this earth. Just look around. Just turn on the news. Watch what is going on the earth. We are soon to kill each other. We are soon to destroy the planet. This is the real hell. And I think our singer, he is a very misanthropic guy. He doesn't like many people. So he has a very, very sad and I think also negative lyrics right now.
Yeah.
Because "Kill All Idols," right, refers to, like, obviously all the politicians, all the people that, everything that we all see every fucking day on TV now, pretty much. I mean, the wars and all this shit.
Yeah, yeah. It's against all those idols, political so-called idols, all those leaders, also religious leaders, who want to tell the people what to do. Also, all those fucking influencers on social media now, Instagram and stuff like that, who tell the kids how they have to behave and to what clothes they have to wear. Shit like that, we hate this kind of stuff. And our singer also hates all those musical idols. He doesn't like any starship. He doesn't like that people come and say, "Oh, you are so great," and stuff like that. He always says, "We are normal guys. Just calm down, man."
Doesn't like anything.
The
He doesn't
influencer
like
shit's
anything.
crazy. The influencer thing is crazy. We were just in Lafayette a couple months ago with my family, and there was some influencer there, and I'm telling you, there was, like, at least 300 people running through the streets to see this guy. Just some social media influencer. It's taken over everything. It's insane, you know?
That's really
I mean,
insane. The same is going on in
yeah.
Germany. Of course, there's also this OnlyFans shit going on, which I can't understand at all. You can watch porn movies for free in the internet, and people they
Right.
pay for this
Right.
OnlyFans shit.
You have an account.
Of course, I have an account.
You're 100% right, man. It is the time we live in now. It's a crazy time. And I have to ask you, man, because I heard you say this and it kind of bummed me out, but I understand it. This may be the last Disaster full length.
Maybe it will. It was so hard. It was so hard to record this album. It started 9 months ago. I have a belly which is really big now, and I'm glad that on Friday the baby will be born. No, it was really hard. It was really hard because we had some really serious discussions in the band about the sound. Uh, we had really bad experience with the recordings because after the lyrics were recorded, after the voice was recorded, they were deleted. So our singer was really pissed.
Shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he was so glad that he finished the recordings and did a great job. And then the news was, sorry, we can't use the vocals. We have to do it again. So perhaps you recognize the vocals are very pissed this time.
So do you guys get them like completely drunk before you tell them this? Like, hey man, we have something to tell you. All your vocals are fucking gone.
Of course. Of course. On the other hand, I think, okay, this was a good thing because he had to do the vocals again, and they're even more pissed than before. So it was a good thing at the end. But it was really hard to record. So we decided perhaps it was the last album. It is always a lot of work to work on a whole album. We only rehearse once a month or every second month. So we come together and we have to rehearse for a whole album, 10 songs. We have to rehearse the live set. It's too hard. We prefer to record more uh, shorter ones, like 7-inch or mini albums.
Yeah, and me and Ed, we always talk about this on the show, right? That now you have the attention span of a listener now. Like when we were kids, we would listen to the album from front to back. Now that's like for a lot of people, they don't do that anymore. The real true metal fans are going to listen to it. But now with all the streaming sites, right, Ed, and shit, that we always say this, that people just skip through songs. When I was a kid, I don't know, I always felt like when you bought a record, the best songs on the record were not the singles, actually. It's when you started digging into the record, you found other songs that you loved and stuff like that. But I think we're in a different time period now.
Really, really. I
Unfortunately.
totally agree with you. We are in a different time. Of course, old guys like we listen to an whole album. We love to put it on the record player and listen to it for 40 minutes or 50 minutes or something like that. That we are used to that. But of course, the kids of today, they live in another world. They live in another world. They have other, uh, uh, what is it called? They listen to Spotify. They just click on tracks. They listen to the tracks for only some seconds sometimes, and of course that's just a different world. It's not because of this that we perhaps don't want to produce any albums anymore, but perhaps it's also one little reason.
You guys have the new album coming out, like we said, August 22nd. Metal Blade. You guys are playing Bulgaria for the first time. You guys are playing Serbia in first time in 15 years, and you guys are also going to play in New York City if everything goes right for the first time ever.
That would be totally crazy. It was ever my dream to see all those skyscrapers, you have seen in the movies. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big Sex in the City fan, but I want to see all those skyscrapers, would be amazing. Hopefully, the thing will become true. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And dude, before we're gonna let you guys get out of here in a few minutes. I do want to ask, and we'll ask Odin this too, man, if you can answer too. What are Ed's a bass player, obviously. What's the bass gear that you use, man? What's your preference?
Ja, dass du an Bass spielst. Yeah, sorry. I'm just actually playing an Ibanez bass with the thickest strings on it. I use it for 15 years, I think so. I'm using an old Ampeg STV.
Nice.
And I don't know how to say. Ich bin eigentlich so scheiße gerade. Sorry.
That's okay, man. I'm putting you on the spot here.
His English is even worse than mine.
Yeah.
Sorry, Odin.
At this time,
How about you, Infernal, man? What are you using?
I'm using still my old Ibanez guitar. RG 550, if somebody's interested. Very good guitar. It never turns out of tune, very, very good. And I have an old high watt amplifier. If you see old Iron Maiden videos, old rock videos from the 70s, you always see the old high watt amplifiers, great sound. And I use Marshall speakers to that, and I have the Metal Zone distortion pedal.
Nice, man. Well, and we really appreciate you giving us as much time as you gave us and making this happen.
We are very glad that you give us a chance to speak with you. We are happy to be supported by guys like you, real underground maniacs. You know more about our band than we do, than we can remember. That's really amazing.
No,
So,
man, I've been
thank
listening.
you
Like
very
I said, I interviewed Disaster 20-something years ago for a print magazine, back in the day, and been a fan, man. And it's just I was excited to see you guys were doing some press.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate that you give us the chance to speak about our career, about all the releases and all the stuff we lived, we experienced, and it was cool. It was a very cool interview, and good luck for you for your show. And it was cool. It would be cool to meet you in person. We have to have a beer together.
I owe you like
To-
10 beers for this shit, man. I owe you like 10.
And one whiskey, please, for Odin.
Yeah, one whiskey. I'm actually over in Europe, man. So I'm actually in Lithuania right now. So if you guys come over to Eastern Europe, that's where I'm at. I have a place in Tampa and I have a place in Eastern Europe. Ed's in Tampa.
Great. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Haven't we played in Lithuania in the
Yeah.
past?
Yeah.
On
yeah,
the
that-
Kilkeel Zabul festival or something like that?
yeah, I don't know the name.
Kilcum Fest. You guys probably
Yes,
played in.
yes. That would be cool
Yeah.
to return to this festival. Tell the guys we want to come back, please.
Oh,
Great,
definitely,
great.
man. And no, dude, I definitely appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the new album. And Infernal. If you could, how would you want Disaster to be remembered when it's all said and done?
I hope that people will remember us as a very dedicated underground band with a lot of passion, and yeah, that would be the thing I want to be remembered.
Cool, man. Well, Ed, you got anything you want to say over there?
No, I'm just sitting
We
here
want to
enjoying
say-
the interview.
We're going to play Towards Oblivion on the way out of here from the Kill All Idols record that comes out in Metal Blade on August 22nd, which is only a couple days away. And man, we want to thank both of you guys for coming on the show. Anything you want to say to the listeners on the way out?
Yeah, I hope to see you all in America soon in October in New York or on the Metal Thread Festival, which has definitely the best billing of all times.
Crazy.
Really
lineup.
amazing how many great bands will be playing there. I really hope that will become true. So see you soon. Bang or be banged, and die hard.
There you go. What's the best country for beer, Infernal?
Besides of Germany, the Czech Republic and
There
Ireland.
you go. There you go. We appreciate you guys again. We're going to play. We'll say goodbye to you guys in a moment. Everybody else, this is Disaster with Towards Oblivion from Kill All Idols that comes out on August 22nd on Metal Blade Records. Odin, thanks a lot, man, for hanging out too.
Thank you, too.
Everybody else, this is Disaster. Thanks, guys. We'll be back with me and Ed after this track. This is Towards Oblivion from Kill All Idols. and that was Desaster-Towards Oblivion from Kill All Idols on Metal Blade Records. That comes out August 22nd, which is basically tomorrow, whoever's listening to this episode. Ed, episode 103. We'll definitely want to send a big thanks out to Infernal for everything, man. He definitely made time for us. And actually, Odin joined, which we didn't expect, the bass player.
Yeah, that was a bonus for sure.
Yeah. I was going to ask him more questions to Odin, but I know that the English is an issue, so I didn't want to, throw him out there too much, but I had to ask him a few things. But, Infernal was great, man. And that is a band, Ed. We talk about lifers and people who are like fucking like really, this is their lifestyle. Well, I mean, how could you not? I mean, there's a band right there where you 100% see that.
Yeah, there's not a I'm only doing this to get paid. They're not that band. They're not those dudes. They're just living it.
I found it interesting, didn't you? What he said about playing stuff like Vakken and stuff like that. That they're not interested because, and they've played it before, but they don't like the ticket prices. They don't. It kind of takes me back to the King Fowley thing with the meet and greets. Like some of these guys really stand for what they believe in, no matter how it may affect them.
I agree. There's some shows that come to Tampa, and I hate to say it, they're bands I want to see, but I just can't justify spending $50 to go to the Orpheum or the Brass Mo. I'm, I just,
Especially when it's bands we saw for $10 or $5 back in the day.
Or bands that I've played with. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know, man. It's just, I know as a musician, it's like, oh, dude, you're, it's, sometimes you have to stand on principle. $50 tickets. I understand that. I know the costs of touring. I do. If you're putting a production on like Metallica, I understand the cost of touring. If you're going to the Brass Mug to play and all you have is a backdrop, you don't have a whole lot of, you're not carrying 3 tractor trailers full of shit. So $50 a ticket, unless you've got a 7-band caravan that you're, paying everybody. And let's be realistic. If you're an opening band, you're not getting paid that much money. Yeah. I mean, I know in the early days, like when we did the DTA tour, I know what Massacre got, which was nothing for that tour. And Rivers and Idaho, who were just starting out, were getting even less than nothing. And they were traveling around in a van. Now look at them. They blew up because they did what you're supposed to do. You huffed it and you dealt with it. And now they're doing headlining shows all, touring over America. So now
kind
they
like Behemoth, right? We mentioned to Infernal about that. Yeah. Touring with them back in the day. He said he knew they were going to have success, just the way they ran the band.
Yeah. There's certain times that you can see when somebody understands, has some business sense, you know what I mean? And doesn't, drive it into the ground, because there's sometimes, man, you can only do so much. I mean, everybody comes home, you have bills. We all have electric bills. We all have water bills. We all have to eat. Cars, car insurance. These are things that you can't get out of. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how, what, you could be as rich as possible. You still have to pay all those bills. And when you're touring 6 weeks, those bills are still needing to be paid while you're at home. The stuff doesn't stop because you leave to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? So when you're touring for $50, $100 a night for 4 or 5 people, plus you got to pay gas and food. I mean, it's dude, I don't know. Back in the early days when we were younger, it sounded fucking like rock star. You're living with your parents, like, fuck yeah, let's go, dude. Now you got kids and all this shit, and you're like, dude, I can't do that. I can't go on the road, because there was a tour we were offered, and I'm like, I can't go on the road for that. I mean, I can't, I got a family to fucking pay for. So sometimes you have to realize that it just, the ticket prices have to reflect what you're getting. You know what I mean?
That's why you do this now. This is the big money right here. Like,
dude, I'm
Tampa Morgue podcast.
Bro, I am so, dude, I literally, I just cashed in all my stocks because we're making so much money here.
Yeah, we're actually in the red every month, and that's the, and anybody who wants to, speaking of, anybody wants to run any ads with us, feel free to send us a message, the Tampa Morgue.
Now, see, if we were doing video, we could do like I've seen on a couple other podcasts with our Cash App name and our Zelle name and our Venmo name. And I'm just like, You know,
You heard
I get it.
Infernal, man. The influencers, though, makes you fucking. I wouldn't mind. I don't mind popping on once in a while, whatever. But man, just to be that, I don't know. To me, like when the personality overrides the show that you're putting on, like.
Yeah,
But same
there's a
sports, you should never know you should never know the referee's name. You should never know the umpire's name. But when you do, it's a problem.
right. I agree. Yeah, there's a couple people I know that have Twitch channels, and one dude who's a musician in general, and that's all he does is do music playthroughs and you know, maybe him playing video games, and that's how he cashes in. He makes a lot
Crazy.
of money doing that, and I'm like, but to me, it's I don't know, man. There's something about taking money from people when you're not really giving them something. I mean, okay, you're teaching them how to play guitar, but are you really? You're just running a video for an hour of you playing guitar. I don't know. To me, there's got to be substance for the money. I mean, shit, if I had bigger tits than I have now, maybe was about
You
250
can.
pounds lighter, 250 pounds lighter, I'd have an OnlyFans page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because that's I saw somebody said that the other day. They're like, maybe it might have even been, you know, I don't know. It's just weird that you could get porn for free and you're going to pay all this money
Oh, we were just
to see
talking
some
about
girl.
that with Infernal,
Yeah,
man. Now, people go and they
that's where it
pay
was.
all this
Probably
money
just
for these films. It's like, dude, I mean, even
dude,
any
you can
young
go
person knows get it for
You can
free.
go on the internet for free, yeah, but you're giving
Yeah.
some girl because I saw some chick just left OnlyFans and she made $50 million, and I'm like,
That's fucking
how does that work?
insane.
How does that work? Exploit yourself from I don't know, man. I just
Because
whatever.
we live in a time period of idiots. Like in general, like you look at everyone's on their phones all the time. You go anywhere. Like I sit with my wife and I'll say, like, when we go to a restaurant or something, I'm like, look, everyone, dude, if you drive down the street, it's a little bit, I will say, like where I'm at now, living in Lithuania, it doesn't seem it's still going on, but it doesn't as much as I've seen in the past. But dude, if you drive by a bus stop and there's like 10 people there, I
They're on their
guarantee you
phones.
9 people are staring at a cell phone screen. So
Yep.
it's the world we live in.
Well, and the other thing too, everybody got on Ghost for making them have the bags to put your phone in during the
I
show.
get it.
But
Yeah, I get
but
it.
there's people that I heard from that said it was actually one of the best shows they were at because there weren't a bunch of people with phones in the air to where you could see the show. Because if you're in the crowd, people are right in front of you. All you're looking at is their phone. You can't see the stage. So I get it. And they said it was a more um like intimate experience because it was like the old days when there were no phones and the only way you put your hand in the air is when Ozzy said, "Let me see those cigarette lighters," and that was
Now it's
what.
phones.
Now it's phones with the flashlights, and it's like, I don't know, man. I get it, but when I'm at the show, I want to enjoy the show. I'm not there to be on the phone. It's kind of like when you go to the gym, and I've told you this 100 times. What is on your phone that's so fucking important that you can't leave it for an hour just to go work out? What do you have to look at on your phone in between sets that's so fucking important that you're so negligent and just don't care about the people around you that you could just sit in a machine for 30 minutes because you want to be on your fucking phone? That's where
Yeah.
my heart rate goes up because I want to drag them by their fucking head and just slam them against the fucking wall. Because I'm like, dude, go somewhere else. Like, I pay my money to come in here and do my thing, not to wait for a machine because you're on it. You know what I mean?
I
And the same
remember
thing.
being like 14 years old and like standing in the ice cold weather on a payphone talking to like ex-girlfriends in Seaside, New Jersey growing up. Like that was the norm. Like, you have to go find a phone. Like those
Dude, when I
days are
was
done.
that first tour with Diabolic, with Cannibal, like when I had just started dating my wife, now my wife, a month before we left. Like literally our first date was January 2000. We left February 6th
And
for
that
that
was what?
tour or
That was the
something.
Cannibal Hate Eternal and
Yeah,
what?
and
Cannibal
God
Hate
Dethroned.
Eternal, God Dethroned, right?
Yep. And we learned the trick of the 10-10-220 where I would call collect from the payphone,
Yep.
and instead of saying my name, I would yell the phone number of the payphone I was at, and she would call me back because it was cheaper for her to call me. Um,
Yeah.
and standing out there, like in New York City, I remember when my gear got stolen. That night we had to walk 25 blocks to find a payphone. And when we came back, we saw all these Mexican dudes walking down the street. not being racist, they were Mexican. And when we turned the corner, every vehicle but the tour vehicles were smashed. Something went on when we left where these dudes came in and got thrown out, and they destroyed all the cars in the parking area, but the bus, our RV, and Paid Eternal's van. So yeah, I mean, those are the days where, and it was cold in New York in February. Trust me.
Yes.
Standing at that payphone, I remember we were talking for about 15 minutes. I'm like, I gotta go. I'm like, I love
Yeah.
you, but I gotta get the fuck. This is cold. Like it was cold. Like I was like, fuck this. But that's what we did. You know that there were no cell phones.
No, they would
2000.
always have someone standing behind you pissed off because you're on the payphone, like, you know,
Yep.
but
Like
we don't have
in
to worry
jail.
much longer though, because I'm sure the world's gonna blow up anyway in the next
Well, there's
who knows?
a giant spaceship hurling towards us at 17,000 miles an hour.
It's
So, you know,
fucking normal.
Independence Day is on its way, guys. So don't worry about it. It'll be here soon enough.
Yeah, and I say that wraps up our show tonight. I know Ed's gotta go get his ankles replaced after this, so,
I wish it were my ankles. Yeah.
but yeah, man, Ed, you got anything else? Or like I said, we're gonna be right back before you know it. Next week we have Sergeant Salston coming on from Death Hammer
Death
next week.
Hammer. Death Hammer. I will say that, you know, Disaster, he can, Infernal could definitely do a voiceover for Arnold. I'll give him that. He could
And they
definitely.
could drink some beer too, man. They
Oh
could
my
drink some
goodness.
beer.
Yeah, you guys didn't see
Like,
the
Guinness was flowing on this interview.
they have tall boy Guinness, and then they have the disaster size Guinness, because these cans look like they had to bring them in on a dolly. They were drinking. Hey, good for them, man. I drink
Yeah.
if I drank a Guinness, the show would have been over 5 minutes in, because yeah, that stuff's too much for my ass. I don't drink, so that's like
Yeah,
paste,
it's
man. That's like drinking sludge. I
I
can't
like
do it,
beer,
man.
but I'm a total Pilsner kinda guy, so I'm not
Yeah,
too
I'm not
cool
into
like
the
that.
dark
I'm
stuff.
not an IPA guy or anything like
No,
that, so
no.
I like a joint and a Pilsner. That's pretty much my
Yeah, I'm
favorite
into
recipe.
the beers with the flavoring, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like
don't
the
like that. The
IPAs that.
incense beers, can't do it.
Yeah, it's only a couple, like we used to drink, Shock Top, you know what I mean?
Or
That to
Purple
me was.
Haze when we were recording the Taste of Death record back in, like,
Yep, yep,
2014. Oh,
yep, but the Shock Top was the one we would drink a lot at the brewery there next to the thing.
yeah. Well, Ed, I guess let's get out of here. 103 in
Yep,
the books. And everyone who listens, we always appreciate you. You can always send us an email at thetampamorgue@gmail.com. Make sure you check out the Instagram page. And as we always say, man, you can find a bunch of old episodes back on the old every platform that you listen to podcasts. So Ed, you got anything else?
I'm good. Like
Well,
a tree and get the fuck out of here.
hell yeah. We will see everybody next week on the Tampa Morgue. Thanks for listening. Peace.
See ya.
This is King Fally from Deceased, and you just listened to another episode of the Tampa Morgue. Tune in next week and stay fucking dead.